Greetings, fellow Amblamites. Tiki here.
And Blue Dragon 5.
Take a while, too.
And welcome to the second season of Spielberg Month on the Main Street Cinema, the show where we discuss the finer points of filmmaking. Since Steven Spielberg does not do commentaries on his own films, we've decided to do the heavy lifting and uncover the hidden secrets within 5 of his best movies. From Mashed Potatoes to Jeff Goldblum, from Premonitions to Big Friendly Giants. Batten down the hatches as we dive into another installment of Spielberg Month. Tonight we'll be talking about the 2003 thriller sci-fi epic Minority Report, the first collaboration with Tom Cruise and Steven Spielberg.
Might have been 2002.
I think it was 2002. I apologize.
I have the wiki pulled up. It's 2002.
I am dumb. Okay, thank you guys for correcting me. It is 2002. Oh, what a year 2002 was, guys. What a year 2002 was.
Yeah, Spider-Man.
It was Spider-Man. For me, it was Lilo and Stitch. Minority Report. Picture, and also the Scooby-Doo movie. I randomly remember that.
Well, yeah, actually, Lilo and Stitch was up against this one.
Yeah, that's why I remember it, because I saw both of those movies that weekend. But you know what other movie was released in that same sort of general, like, early June time slot?
Which one?
Minority Report.
Yeah.
And
the
so,
Spielberg
guys, the weekend of this movie's release was the first time I went to Disneyland. And it was also the weekend of Lilo and Stitch's release. And I saw Lilo and Stitch before I went to Disneyland. I fell in love with Lilo and Stitch. The Polynesian atmosphere of that movie kind of drove my love of the Tiki Room in a way. And then I saw this movie the first night that I was at Disneyland, before we went into the parks, at the Downtown Disney, the AMC at Downtown Disney. And guys, I just vividly remember running out of the theater in a panic at that early jump scare with Agatha about like 20 minutes into the film where she like jumps out of the water at Tom Cruise. And that was just, like, I'll always remember that. I'll always remember that scene just terrifying me. And my parents just left the movie theater after that because I ended up sitting in a movie theater by myself watching Lilo and Stitch. But all these years later, I have come to very much appreciate this movie. It's definitely, I think it's very much a top work of Steven Spielberg, from the 2000s onward. I think it's easily one of his best movies of the 2000s. Dragon, very briefly, do you have any background on this you'd like to share?
Yes, of course, Minority Report is remembered as a short sci-fi story by the great Philip K. Dick. Of course, Philip K. Dick loves playing with themes, most notably kind of his 3 calling cards being the identity crisis, the conspiracy, and the evil corporation. Those are usually kind of that's kind of his trifecta. And usually it's in the future. So basically, it's for anyone who wasn't familiar, the original story is to summarize. It's a story about a group in the future called pre-crime. They use precogs, precognition, psychics, to anticipate crimes and stop them before they happen. And it's up to basically, we see our lead character learns that he's to commit a murder, which he goes on the run for, and he goes on the run to get answers, which leads to a bunch of conspiracies. So that's the main short story. I don't know, it's basically imagine a really abbreviated version of the movie, but again, goes in different directions than the movie. So here's an interesting story behind it. So, believe it or not, this actually has roots in not only Disney but Don Bluth. Gary Goldman was a Disney animator who left with Don Bluth when he left Disney, and he was a director and producer on essentially all the Bluth films from Secret and Nim all the way to Titan A.E. He's always been involved in those movies.
Cool.
So he optioned. So the reason we're starting with Gary Goldman's not just a random little observation; it's the fact that he's the one who optioned the story in the first place, to adapt a film based on the Philip K. Dick story. So basically, just over time, he writes a draft, and this was kind of an interesting thing that initially it was intended to be a sequel to Total Recall. It seems like they might have been building a kind of a sci-fi universe based on the works of Philip K. Dick.
Oh man, early cinematic universe.
Yeah, it's like after the Arnold Schwarzenegger Total Recall, it would have been kind of set in like the same future, like maybe years later.
Was AI also going to be in that same cinematic universe?
Well, again, I don't know how far ahead they were thinking of this, but again, it sounds like they were trying to build a cinematic universe based on sci-fi stuff. So, 1997, they bring in John Cohen, who's involved to this day. He kind of puts out a draft. Then, just over the years, in '83, and this thing I didn't know, that Spielberg and Tom Cruise actually befriended each other on Risky Business, just on the set. I guess like while they're shooting other movies, they just kind of befriended each other. And they've always been looking for a project to work together on for 10 years. They Spielberg almost directed Rain Man, but he got Indiana Jones: Last Crusade instead. So I mean, there are all these like points at which they almost kind of crossed over to do a movie. And Cohen passes it along. Spielberg passes this Minority Report on to Spielberg at some point, and he sends it to Cruise. And basically, after a few revisions, they get the okay. They finally get an opportunity to work together. Spielberg was really intrigued by doing something new because it's kind of in the DreamWorks phase where he's just really kind of trying to reinvent himself.
Right.
And one other interesting thing, Spielberg apparently on all the movies he does with big stars, and apparently Tom Cruise, it's no different. He actually Spielberg and the lead actor's payment, usually if they're a big name, is 15% of the gross. They don't have like a salary. It's like they get kind of with Robert Downey Jr. did.
Oh, same difference. Robert Downey Jr., Tony Stark, same thing. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
You see what I'm saying? It's kind of a neat thing. That's kind of like Spielberg, like he does it in every movie. So basically, it's kind of a neat little facet. Just looking at Spielberg this month, as we tend to do, like that's his tradition. Like he gets paid based on the success of the movie. So if a movie bombs, he kind of bombs himself too. Mm. Anyway, so famously he's done this with Tom Hanks on like Saving Private Ryan and other films. It's like kind of been a tradition with Spielberg that was established and really kind of also here. And this film was really delayed. This film suffered from various delays during production because they had rewrites, other projects like Mission Impossible 2, and also Stanley Kubrick's death, because AI came before this, and Spielberg had to finish Kubrick's movie, and that's why Spielberg worked on AI.
Of course.
So again, that's why this film he suffered from a lot of stuff, but and also because of Spielberg's supporting cast were completely recast throughout the making of the film. Everyone he had aside from Tom Cruise had to be recast because it took so long and kept going on and off. Last, rapid fire, he brought in experts to consult in the future tech, which we'll get into as the movie goes on. This is the first film to use previs, and that's an important one. So with DreamWorks being found, this is something like he's using every film since. It's commonplace now. Of course, this film, looking to the future, actually created something that's used even today, previs, just digitally kind of essentially making an animatic on the computer. And in the end, of course, it was very well received, despite deviating from the original story, I'm sure some people are up in arms about, but on the whole, very well received when it came out, and Spielberg definitely went home with a paycheck that day.
All right, folks. So what we try and do here on Spielberg Month is we try and contextualize the films within the overall greater fabric of Spielberg's filmography. So throughout the conversation, we'll be, referring to like visual motifs and symbolism and themes that come up. Of course, this film's got its fair share of daddy issues, guys. I'm so excited. I'm just kidding, but so we try and make this a running conversation podcast rather than a commentary, but we do kind of base our conversation around what's happening on screen. So if you do want to get in on the action, go ahead and get your copy of Minority Report and set it to timestamp 00. I will go ahead and count up to 3, and then we will press play and watch along through this 2 hours and 25 minutes of sci-fi epicness. All right, you guys ready?
Ready.
All right. Minority Report in 1, 2, 3, go. Da 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 da.
All right. So, of course, interestingly, it was we're seeing the DreamWorks logo here underwater, and it's kind of playing with the theme of water. There are various themes in this film, so I don't want to try to get too lost down every single rabbit hole, but it's like the theme of water being, it's sort of like it kind of bonds Anderton and Agatha together because they're both in water. They have water-related traumas, and of course, it's kind of the overall theme of rebirth, I guess.
Yeah, I would say water and eyes are the two main symbols of the film.
Absolutely. Again, the identity thing with Philip K. Dick's works, that's always kind of the persistent.
And of course,
thing.
Philip K. Dick, most notably, he just had a ton of health issues as a child, and there's just a big chronicle, much too much to get into on this podcast. We could do a whole scary adventures on just how shitty of a life young Philip K. Dick had, and that, of course, kind of shown through in a lot of his writing, which was sort of
quite literally religions built on the works of Philip K. Dick.
Yeah.
Like L. Ron Hubbard. Only not crazy.
Philip K. Dick is like the less insane version of L. Ron Hubbard. The less insane.
Yes.
Like I said, like L. Ron Hubbard. Like L. Ron Hubbard, just less crazy.
Yeah.
So I think it's pretty safe to say one of the really great kind of grabbing things about this movie is the opening.
The opening sequence is absolutely, yeah. Even as a little kid, 11 years old, watching this at Disneyland, I was still kind of into it, because I was a Spielberg fan, right? So, it's just such a gripping, way to pull you in through the precog visions.
Yeah, I tell you, just narratively, that's the thing I'm really taking away from it. I just love the kind of the narrativeness of it. Basically, we get a day in the life of, we're getting an example of how this world works normally before it all goes to heck.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, we saw also kind of the fragmented style, which, of course, was what seeing things executed in that fragmented style in the scene. It kind of shows you kind of the mindset of a criminal. It's like everything's just kind of happening at once, and seeing them kind of putting the pieces together as they're on the fly, and like a crime of passion. But also, it's like a detective on Anderton's side and everyone else's side. Putting the pieces together of the crime, just trying to figure it out and trying to stop it.
Right. So I really like how the film kind of just gradually introduces us into the world building and into the technology. We see it in play, and we see characters sort of working with it before we have it explained to us.
Yeah.
Very visual storytelling there.
Oh, yeah. And also just the effect of we seeing how the mechanisms work, and just seeing this cool the ball effect. Where basically we using a laser, we carve out these balls and they get.
I want one of those balls, man.
I know, they're really awesome.
I don't know why. They just seem like they'd be just really soothing, kind of like a better version of a fidget spinner, just to have in your hand and play around with,
No, honestly, really, again,
don't those become symbols as well?
Yeah, well, they're symbols for the eyes as well. I'm just saying, though, they're two balls, like two eyeballs. That's kind of the message there.
Yeah, the victim and the perpetrator.
Exactly. So again, we're seeing kind of how things work. Where we have our two witnesses, essentially our judge and it's kind of like how the judge and jury work. Basically, instead of getting into an actual courtroom, we have two judges, and not literal judges, but a doctor, and people who can judge without any fallibility, essentially, 100% guilty, beyond a reasonable doubt. Mm-hmm. And they watch the case being put together. And once John here, he kind of puts it together. It's once we see the murder, that's proof in pudding. Okay, we're going to sign off on the sentencing of just once you find the guy, do what we usually do. And then, of course, it's up to the pre-crime, of course, to just kind of stop this murder from happening. It's kind of I just love how we see all this unfold in this opening here. Again, it's the kind of the great fluidness of the narrative.
I mean, it's very much kind of like a classic sci-fi version of the Spielbergian, mundane day in the life opening.
Yeah.
Because for John Anderton, it really is just, just a day in the life. It's just all right, here we go. Another day, another dollar, stopping some guy from murdering on his, from killing his wife who's cheating on him.
And of course, in the direction we're focusing on these little. Yeah. And of course, in the direction we're focusing on the. Yep, in the eye, yes, with the scissors in the eye. It's the thing. We're focusing on these little things, like the scissors, of course, can be the murder weapon, the potential murder weapon, as well as cutting through the eyes with the ever-present symbol of the eyes. And right. So my history of this movie really is that I just had the Futurama did a hilarious parody of this of Minority Report, and they kind of did the similar thing, but instead of they kind of followed the book a little bit more, believe it or not, to where it's sort of. They had various crimes on the little balls that came down. So it wasn't always murder; it was some other other crimes as well. And I kind of missed that element, but I realized in a movie, you have to you don't want to overcomplicate things. We don't have time to examine every sort of different crime.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
One thing I do remember from that episode is like the whole Schrodinger's cat aspect. That was hilarious.
Right.
Sorry for the tangent.
No, yeah. It's. I'm not saying I had no prior really experience. I knew that he made, Minority Report. I knew like kind of the gist of Minority Report, what the premise is, predicting crimes. But I just never really kind of like see the whole they had the precog and the ball thing. I was kind of introduced that through Futurama before this, so it was that was my mindset going into. I get like a bizarre parody framework to operate when going into this movie. Yeah. Now, of course, this is interesting. I like how we're building a little sympathy for Howard Marks. Again, we're showing the complexities of why this system, while again it operates like a well-oiled machine, it's still again we're seeing kind of the moral ambiguity already. That this guy you're rooting for. Well, you're not rooting for this guy, but you're understanding him. You're understanding he's just having a rotten day. Like the kid tosses paper in the next to the sprinkler, and then he's putting it together. My wife's having an affair, and again he's trying to coax her out. But he's like realizing, hey, maybe it's a little bit of my fault. So I'm going to try to be there for her. Also, make sure the other guy doesn't go in my bedroom, and
it's pretty much already shown that there are cracks in this system.
Absolutely. Again, what we're seeing again, there's always. I feel, obviously, me weighing on kind of moral thing here. I guess I think pre-crime would be more efficient if they just can maybe found the time if they just focus on, like calling or somehow intervening without just fully punishing the guy. I think it's like talking out almost like a reverse suicide hotline. They call him before.
I could see that. Yeah.
And I think that's just kind of the message that we're so kind of used to, and we're so to kind of the punishment versus kind of the rehabilitation. I think that's kind of the message of the universe right now. Just like you gotta remember when Spielberg was making this is like 2002. This is right after 9/11, so he's really playing with the kind of the post 9/11 fear and
this is very much the first post 9/11 Spielberg movie, and it shows in a lot of ways because it has a lot of the same sort of like sci-fi motifs that Spielberg likes to do. Like the government conspiracies and sort of like some of the weird, quirky characters and everything like that inhabiting the world. But at the same time, it's got this air of paranoia and this air of just like not trusting anyone. And of course, the tagline for this whole movie is "Everybody runs," which is of course very indicative of the whole post 9/11 thing.
Oh yeah. So let me highlight a few actors here. We've got quite a great cast going on here. Of course, aside from Tom Cruise and Colin Farrell, we have Neil McDonough. Neil McDonough is Neil McDonough plays a Gordon Fletcher here in Fletch. He's of course we know him best as Dum Dum Dugan from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So many people know him as Damien Dark, as like a poorly written but wonderfully played bad guy on Arrow. Mm-hmm. And Tiki and I definitely know him as Deadshot from the Assault on Arkham animated movies. And Neil McDonough is a really good actor. I've always loved seeing that guy pop up.
Mm-hmm.
Also, we have Steve Harris as Jad. Jad, the kind of the other.
I like Jad.
Yeah, Jad's a lot of fun. That's the thing I really knowing Futurama going into this. Like they had the classing of the robot and the human cop that they always have on Futurama. He was the. Also, it's kind of a fun pattern we keep finding here because not only is the same actor in this movie too, but later on we get to Peter Stormare. It's like yet another the Batman actor from the animated Batman show.
Breaking up here and there. You there, Jacob?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why I'm cutting out.
Is it? Are you cutting in and out? Is Dragon cutting in and out? I don't know. I'm just watching the movie here.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I could, but
yeah, I can hear you.
30 seconds. So yes, Batman actors movie. Yay, awesome fan service.
Yeah, cool. Ethan Bennett. So I'm just saying it's kind of a fun little kind of pattern we've had this season of Spirit Month. Yet another Batman actor.
Right.
Also, we have another Seinfeld actor.
Spielberg directed It would be kind of funny to see a Spielberg directed Batman.
I think if he would have done a Batman, this would have been the era to do it in. Like this whole post 9/11, because nowadays I feel like Spielberg is sort of back on his whimsy, with stuff like Ready Player One and BFG and stuff like that. But this movie, like I said, I feel like this movie and AI are kind of these weird, like, they're kind of these weird blend of, like the classic Spielberg stuff, like stuff like E.T. and Close Encounters, mixed with stuff that would come later in Spielberg's career. Stuff that was very, very cynically leaning, like stuff like Munich and, and Lincoln. And I shouldn't say cynical, but they very much had like a more serious vibe to them, Bridge of Spies, stuff of that nature.
Heck, it was this movie and AI that prompted him to do a lighter movie, which led him to Catch Me If You Can.
Oh, yeah.
Which then led him to the worst movie of his career.
All right, let's not dwell on the negative here.
Hey, I didn't bring up Dragon. I didn't bring up The Terminal this time.
The Terminal sucks.
You really have to take
that.
I did. Hey, I was trying to avoid that. That's why
I knew it wasn't you. I'm blaming him. I'm blaming the other guy.
All right. Let's talk about the visuals here. I really like this. How we get the build up here, like the cool sweep down of the police as the kids going on the merry-go-round. This again, one of the other big symbolic things is this whole idea of in the future, all the houses and all the apartments and
exactly
buildings.
The same.
Yeah, exactly.
Which, of course, presents a problem for our guys who can see into the future here. They all look the same.
Very detail-orientated, this guy's job is.
So, again, speaking of that, just, again, something really great about this opening sequence, again, is that it's a really just cool race against the clock vibe you get with this sort of thing. The idea when you get a red ball, that's a crime of passion, which means those are immediate crimes. Those are those are really on a time frame.
Mm-hmm.
And, again, you're doing this based on random visions, which means, again, you can't, know this in advance. So you have to just really, really act on it. And, again, that's where we kind of weigh into that kind of post-9/11 argument of, again, this sort of the security versus freedom thing. Is sort of and the big argument of the movie, of course, is kind of free will versus determinism. Can you go against fate, essentially, choice versus fate.
Yeah, right. It's such a cool, hook for a movie, just that whole... And Spielberg was just sold on the story just based on that. The cop having to go on the run to prove his innocence. It's almost
very fugitive-esque.
Yeah, almost kind of film noir-esque in a way.
Oh, very much. And again, that's the thing that really drew Spielberg to this project. He loved just kind of mixing different kind of genres of film because there's a lot of noir in there. Of course, there's your fugitive, and there's your detective movie. There's a lot of stuff in here.
I think you guys would agree with me when I say that this is very much Spielberg's Blade Runner.
Tiki, I think you're absolutely on the money with it. Yes,
and I think it's a much better movie than Blade Runner.
Well, I really have. There's so many versions of Blade Runner I really gotta watch before I can really make that statement. But
isn't that also Philip K. Dick?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Do androids dream of electric sheep?
Yeah, that's the one.
Was that going to be in the cinematic universe?
Again, I don't know how far they figured it
out. I'm sorry, I'm just really intrigued by the cinematic universe concept.
And of course, I was really happy with this movie because I loved all the gadgets. Oh boy, the future tech, and I just love the little gauntlet with the digital stopwatch built into it.
Spielberg must have had so much fun designing the set pieces of this movie because every set piece relies on a different piece of future tech.
Well, the way they got all this future tech, this whole universe, not only just the gadgets, but everything figured out. He brought 15 experts who were basically built a think tank, and for 3 days, these 15 different experts in various fields, they figured out some actual kind of future concepts. And of course, a lot of these future concepts that we see in this movie, most likely based on that meeting, did develop a lot of, at least the development started for the technology we have today. Things that made it, like these.
Literally, the program that we are using to record this podcast right now is very similar to the the video feed of the judge and the jury. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Where they're witnesses to it.
Absolutely, but I mean, also just kind of if everyone like a tablet or something. That's essentially him doing the swiping thing. It's him doing kind of the.
Of course, right.
Which I love. Spielberg had the idea, of course, based on his history with John Williams. Also, kind of everyone has a love of music. Just kind of basically, he's conducting while music is playing, and just kind of put that in your mind. He's developing the future based on stuff we have now, based on kind of familiar concepts, so it doesn't feel completely foreign. And he went for kind of the George Lucas-esque kind of lived-in vibe of the future. That was always what Lucas went with Star Wars, and he kind of did that with the future here. Really lived in vibe. That's why you'll notice the screen's all bleached up. Aside from this commercial, I mean, the screen's all the whole set. It's Janusz, his regular guy, since I think Lost World onward. Well, no, so Schindler's List onward. Lost World was the first thing they did after Schindler's List. Inside Onward, that's when he really got into all. Basically, he's been his DP ever since, and he's always like played visually with a lot of stuff like that.
So yeah, I just think the storytelling in this movie, like I do think this movie is like a 4-act movie, right? Like I think that's kind of like the big flaw I have with it is it goes on a little too long, and essentially it kind of has this Return of the King thing for me, where it's like it ends and then it goes on for another half hour. But the storytelling at the outset, the storytelling at the first 2 acts of this movie, I think are pretty much perfect. So, of course, we get that day-to-day, like mundane day in the life type thing with John Anderton, where it's a very exciting day in the life, but to him, it's sort of just, just his job. And now we're kind of developing the future. We got that kind of the propaganda of the pre-crime, like pre-crime works. I believe in pre-crime.
Very RoboCop-esque, just less cynical and hilarious.
And now we're getting into the darker side of John Anderton. And, of course, we're about to explore his his personal life and his lack of a family and whatnot. Get into those good old Spielberg daddy issues that we all love so much.
I love this future drug. I just love the design.
What's funny though about that whole one of the things even the opening paragraph of an article mentions that it explores Spielberg's theme of broken families.
It totally does. It totally does.
Go ahead, Dragon.
I'm saying the narrowing is the scene's kind of going on a little bit now. It's the we have like the bizarrely blind drug dealer, selling him heroin, this little inhalable substance. Essentially, it's like basically a heroin that directly you can inhale and it goes directly to the brain. Essentially, that's my read on it. Just with a name like Narrowin.
Mm-hmm.
A future drug.
Yes.
This shot was used in a lot of the marketing, just showcasing the future tech.
Absolutely.
That would be a nice house. Apparently,
it's a very nice
pre-crime plays well.
See, it definitely is a drinking problem. Look at all these various cups and glasses.
Drinking problem, drug problem.
Now, I noticed a visual motif that goes on with this movie is people's houses. A lot of the times they have plants in the background, and a lot of times that'll do with the character. Like, we'll visit a character in the second act who's very plant orientated, but Anderton's house is just kind of designed with these with this kind of ivy motif in mind.
Yeah, and I do like that we visually say a lot with this sequence, aside from the obvious, when he's playing the recordings of his son. But I mean, we have these.
I love the cereal box. That's awesome.
Right.
No, the anime, like that's one of those things where it's like I could totally picture them doing something like that in real life. It'd be cool for like a month, and then everyone will get super sick of it.
Oh yeah, but we have the thing where he has these clippings from newspapers about the return of missing children or of kidnapped children. Just like the idea of that's absolutely what he wants in life, but he's never going to get it.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, it's based on, we go from that to actually seeing the recordings of his son. I love that he's so. This is all he has, and just he's repeating what he's saying in the video, just so he can live as close as he can to the moment. Again, it's like the future technology is making realities even more painful.
I really like the shadow effect we have in this hologram.
Oh yeah,
because the shadow sort of represents how this kid is sort of a ghost. It's like he's not really a tangible thing that Anderton can just reach out and touch. It's just a memory sort of clinging onto.
Yeah. I'm also just with all this stuff, just him running in the dark and just kind of going back to his part. Just the whole thing screams noir in the best way. It's future noir. It's just very much like the classic thing, or even like you look at Roger Rabbit, it's Eddie Valiant comes home, and he's thinking of his brother. He's looking through the photos. He's getting drunk as a skunk. That's the classic kind of it's the self-destructive PI essentially.
So I love the personalized ads that we get also, like the billboards and stuff. Like, John Anderton, you need to get you need these amazing products in your life.
Yep. And again, no privacy in the future. It's kind of we're going for the ultimate user friendly. Of course, just with just kind of that imperfect, that lived in future. What they're going for is is also just basically utopian meets dystopian. Basically, it's almost like it's a dystopian that thinks it's utopian, or vice versa, right? Utopian that really is actually dystopian.
Mm-hmm.
There's like a delusion there. It's just like it thinks it's being cutting edge, but actually it's just being it's kind of sad and run down in places, but it's in the future. And again, that's Spielberg with those 15 experts. It's figuring out realistically where it would be in roughly 50 years.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think this is one of the best cases of Spielberg doing world building in a movie, because it's it's not just the singular location, right? It's not just Jurassic Park. It's not just the the suburbs and woodlands of E.T. It's not just the it's a whole lived-in futuristic world where, of course, we have these big set pieces like the like the Department of Pre-Crime, but we also have a lot of back roads and a lot of forest, and we really get like the broad spectrum of what this world is like.
Oh yeah.
What do you guys think of the design of the cars?
The computer effects are actually pretty good for 2002.
I think these effects hold up remarkably well.
Oh, they absolutely do. Like they're that sort of thing where basically it doesn't look like out of place. It doesn't look like dated CG at all.
Mm-hmm.
I think one thing that helps is that like they desaturated it a little bit. Like they desaturated the entire movie. I think that's what kind of helped with it.
Bleach look again for the desaturation. Yeah.
Here we get
it helps with the aging.
You were getting to Max von Sydow.
Of course, everyone remembers him now for Force Awakens, but he's had quite the cinematic career.
So I heard a fan theory about like what would have been a better use of that character in Force Awakens. What if it was Jar Jar?
What are you saying? Are you saying what Max?
No, I'm saying what if Max von Sydow played a makeup version, right? Like a practical version of like an old weathered Jar Jar Binks.
Well, I wouldn't really entertain it, but I could see how like that would open, like that'd be kind of like the wink and nod, like yeah, we know Jar Jar, but he's gonna make him really cool before he dies.
And he's gonna have a very heroic death, yeah.
Exactly, I see.
But we're still gonna have the catharsis of actually seeing him die.
Let's talk. Yes. Now let's talk about something aside from Jar Jar. This is a brilliant part here. It's a brilliant visual demonstration.
This is one of the things that sticks out to me the most in the whole movie.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The visual demonstration, by rolling the ball here. Basically, it's
cause and effect.
Yeah, the debate. Well, yes, cause and effect, but also again, there's that choice versus fate. That's essentially the thing you made. Basically, with the ball catch, changing it doesn't mean it wasn't going to happen. Which means again, the murder was going to happen, even if we did change it. Means it's still going to happen.
Yeah, that's such a good visual. Like Spielberg's so good at that, right? At like coming up with those.
Again, Spielberg's fantastic at dialogue scenes. Let's never forget that. The guy knows how to stage a conversation the most interesting way, or the most emotional way. And again, Janusz is another kind of like, I think ever since he got Janusz at this point on, but like this is also the Catch Me If You Can type kind of staging and design. That's always like he's the one who kind of helped get him kind of these kind of new versions of kind of like the the over the shoulder, basically like the standard conversation shot. He spiced it up. So Janusz is kind of the reason the conversation shots get spiced up in terms of how they were shot.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think a lot of it's in the blocking.
Yeah. Well, also, kind of sometimes they're on Dutch angles. I mean, not this case. No, I'm just saying as an example. It's like sometimes you turn the camera a little bit differently. You see it from various different angles as well. Yes. And also, just with the ball demonstration, it also, of course, raises the questions to the whole.
Like I said, man, I'm sorry. I'm just looking at Tom Cruise fidget with that ball, and it's just like I want one. Like I want one to just hold in my hand and fidget with. Go ahead, Dragon. I'm sorry.
So again, there's that interesting question that gets raised that John's going to have to really consider in the movie. If you know the future, basically, if you know you're going to kill someone, would you do it? Basically, if you knew if you knew you were going to kill, but you knew it ahead of time, would you still do it? That's the big question of the movie. That's kind of exemplified in the ball thing,
Mm-hmm.
Now here, just to talk about Colin Farrell for a moment as Witwer. So again, Witwer's he's such a sleazy. We know he's not a bad guy, but he's so sleazy.
I mean, like I think he does play it up like really well as sort of the false antagonist of the movie. You know what I mean?
He's the red herring. That's what he is. Yes.
Yeah, but I honestly think he's one of the most effective red herrings I've ever seen in a movie, though.
Well, yeah, sure. I just
because he is just such a strong, like, like, of course he's jockeying for Tom Cruise's job. He's, out to prove the faults of the system. I don't know. I really, especially rewatching the movie, I really got a lot out of Colin Farrell's character in this movie.
Well, something to acknowledge with the Whitworth character that's really clever is from a story perspective is that making him an auditor was a really good move, because having him be an auditor, essentially like internal affairs, essentially having him be an auditor allows for a natural exposition coming from Fletch and all the other guys, just kind of like walking him through how the day-to-day operations goes, which telegraphs that to us, the audience. So it's a natural way of exposing that without feeling really forced of like, oh yeah, this happened to him, he lost his son a few years ago, that sort of thing.
Exactly. Yeah, this movie's just really good with exposition in that way. It just delivers out the information right when we need it.
How do you guys feel about Wall-E? Oh, here's a beautiful shot right here with Cruise looking down on Agatha.
Dragon, I think one of the big things that Spielberg kind of zeroed in on from what I was researching about the movie from making of stuff is Dragon really, or Spielberg, Dragon, you're Spielberg. Congratulations. All right, Spielberg, he really wanted to focus on these quirky side characters that kind of built out the world. So we'll see that with Wall-E. We'll see that with the, again, I'm sorry, I'm terrible with names, but we'll see that with Gideon. Of course, we'll see that with a lot of characters that they come across throughout the film. It's like they're not major players, but they just have a lot of range to them. They have this whole life that, we can kind of imagine.
Yeah, and with Wall-E in particular, I like those little moments that we give them each like these little moments that kind of speak volumes in terms of characterization and history like that. And Wall-E has one later on where, of course, he says, "John, you've always been nice, man. I'll give you 2 minutes." Like that's a beautiful line. It gives so much character and dimension to him.
Right.
And just with that also, at the same time, I think with Wall-E, like, where do you guys come down? Where he's, in the pool, and he's basically, it's kind of like it's a real world thing, but it's as nice and likable as he is somewhat creepy because he's, he's like brushing the teeth of them. He's like pouring out his heart and like, and it's like he's talking to essentially Komovics, essentially. I mean, they're precogs, but like they're kind of like they have to listen. That's kind of like it's a little dark, it's a little creepy.
Yeah, and I think Spielberg kind of designed the whole movie to sort of have that air of uneasiness to it.
Yeah, I mean, because we have that thread, all just kind of the morally questionable things. Like again, like after they prevent the murder from earlier on, Mark's murder and his wife, just the whole bunch of them, like they crash through the roof for the glass roof and they're wrecking the place.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, here we go. There's
oh God, yeah. Almost.
I just love when he snaps his fingers over it. And of course, just these two characters are, again, it's her being in the water, of course, just visually kind of connects her to his past a little bit. But again, these two, water factors into many story points. And just, here's like their story really, this is where his arc really gets kind of supercharged and starts off here.
And that's the jump scare I was talking about, guys. That is one of the most effective jump scares in any Spielberg movie, for my money.
I love how Cruise plays this. Like, he just doesn't know what's happening. She's just clinging on to him. He's like looking to Wall-E, like, okay, someone get over here.
Right.
And of course, there we have like the big kind of not MacGuffin, but it's like kind of that big reoccurring kind of moments, that big tease of the movie. It's sort of the with the Anne Lively.
Yeah.
In the Lively murder. And again, water.
Yeah, very, very good visuals here.
Right. There's Wall-E freaking out here over, what the heck did you do? Also, just something I think it might have been mentioned in the scene already, just to kind of go over while we're still kind of in the temple a little bit. With the temple, it's there's this religious layer. We have some like religious imagery kind of put in our heads a little bit about calling it a temple, and of course John's very skeptical of this, but the rest of them kind of see themselves as clergy to these almighty oracles in a way.
Yeah. I think the temple is probably the single most memorable set of the movie for good reason.
I love that I love that they made that into the logo.
Oh, right, right. Yeah, I mean, I very much think it definitely sort of visually exemplifies the whole movie. You know, it's just like the water, the eyes. It's all symbolically there.
And
Now,
also with Tim Blake Nelson here. Tim Blake Nelson, of course, from various films, through Holes, Incredible Hulk.
Incredible Hulk.
Yeah. Always a good character actor, this Tim Blake Nelson. But this is something interesting. The way he plays the organ, yet another kind of little religious symbol there. Again, just kind of with the whole clergy, kind of church-esque thing.
Yeah, I think Gideon is probably my one of my favorite side characters in the movie. I just there's just something about the way he conducts himself and the way that he sort of like looks at himself as a god in a way to these prisoners. I don't know. It's just like a very fascinating character. Like I could see a whole movie being based off this guy.
And of course, you have the horrible kind of connotation of like when these guys, like Howard Marks, we just saw earlier on, like once that guy was, they put that little device on his head, they hooked him up to this machine. They're basically going to play as, they're gonna keep him there forever, at least for whatever his sentence is.
Yeah, and it's essentially I took it to be basically
A server farm of some. Basically, it's like a file cabinet of all the past murders, but it's using people. I love how they make it look like a server farm. It's like a data farm.
It's like something out of the almost looks like something out of the Matrix.
Exactly.
It does,
It's like they're just data now. That's what they are, and that's what they're hooked. That they're it's like data, but they're like in comas. It's visually, this is very interesting. Of course, it's like having this, like their crimes play before they are people, they are their crimes. It's kind of what you get with that little kind of visual display over the faces.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, again, I think the location of this, like, I almost wish we would have seen a little bit more of the location because it's just so creepy and visually striking.
Nice.
Really good set pieces just all around with this film. Just Spielberg just went out of his way with the with crafting the world.
Now, with Gideon's very important for a story in another capacity. He sets up the eye swap idea. He sets that up. He knows this because otherwise the movie would be over. Like, okay, well, you have the guy who did it, but he's a John Doe. Why is he a John Doe? Well, they do this thing where they swap eyes. And again, and yet another Futurama thing they play with. Not particularly in that same episode, but just like some they've had before, like black market organ transplants, like kind of
right.
And I like that we're kind of doing that here in a really creepy way. And of course, you can imagine this. Blade Runner was something that really informed this, but I'm saying because the movie does have quite a Blade Runner vibe. Again, both by Philip K. Dick, so that probably also be why. Regardless, Batman Beyond took a lot of cues from Blade Runner, and also it has some similar things that are in this movie. Like when John goes on the run, there's something very Batman Beyond-esque, and I'll point it out when it happens. I have a few Batman Beyond-esque things in this thing. So it's like, Batman Beyond is set kind of 50 years in the future, so obviously the kind of movies that are kind of set 50 years in the future, which would be this. Mm-hmm. Fun fact about just the precogs, just to mention it. So all the precogs are named after crime writers. So we have Agatha Christie.
Agatha Christie.
Dashiell Hammett. And of course, the favorite. This one connects to Lost World. Arthur Conan Doyle.
right.
Yeah. Again, I love the clear plastic technology. Like kind of little glass, essentially like a flash drive, but it's a little glass disc you insert into things.
Yeah. Just it's so tangible, just all the technology and everything, and it's so practical as well. Even though CG's involved with it. Go ahead, Jacob.
What I like about the look of that is that, like, they make it believe they make it like believable, like it could actually exist, with unlike a lot of other future stuff around this time where it's just like it would be too out of this world to be even realistic.
Yeah, because there aren't flying cars like those flying vehicles that the police have. The pre-crime guys have. Those are like essentially the equivalent to helicopters. It's like futuristic helicopters. There's no flying cars.
And honestly, the government probably has stuff like that in development as we speak.
Oh yeah, I mean, I know they have been developing the flying car for quite some time now. Technically, they have.
No, I'm talking about like the big, the big helicopter-like thing.
Oh yeah, sure. I'm saying I imagine along with basically the flying car is like a flying miniature plane. So I'm saying they're kind of in similar space, like they're like just more kind of small flying things.
I would say the least tangible thing in this film is probably the freeway system.
Yeah, yeah, and that's also somewhat the problem they have with the flying car, and that basically having it's less getting the car to fly; it's more like kind of maintaining kind of traffic.
I do like the freeway system though. Like as I said, like it's not the most tangible thing in the world. Like
But it's so cool to look
it
at.
is. It is. It's such a cool idea. Just this whole idea of like all the cars are automated. Like it would make hijacking impossible. It would make criminals getting a run. Having a runaway impossible, as we illustrate in that car chase. I wish we kind of. I don't know. I almost kind of wish more of the scenes, more of the action took place on that freeway. I guess just for budgetary reasons, we were only able to have it a couple times, but it's just such a memorable location.
I mean, with the 15% thing that Spielberg and Cruise did, that's not just done like out of it's not purely out of tradition. It's also to make sure like the film can save some money because it was $100 million budget. They didn't want to go over budget, so they kind of took the pay cut.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
now,
this movie just looks, it looks like, it just looks exactly like how much it was worth. It's just like it looks really good.
I like how the photos at John's house tell a story. It's like it's him with the kid, then it's him and the wife, and then it's him with Burgess.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like kind of showing like the relationships this man has, but also again Burgess kind of putting there. It's like someone set up as someone to be trusted. Which, if we learn anything from Toy Story 2, never anyone who's said to be trusted.
He is just like the long con, though. He's like the like I was not expecting that twist.
And again, like right here's our red herring. Like he's such a sleazeball, like going into his place, and most likely with that warrant. I don't know, it might just be like a stickler like that. He got a warrant, so he's in the clear. But it's like why is he like tough talking the kid? That's you slimeball. So daddy's in trouble. Come on, that's just not right.
I think that was probably a trailer line.
Oh yeah, probably. And again, we kind of have some good editing here, and of course, Spielberg's regular editor worked on this movie, Michael Kahn. And he's pretty much, I think, for all the commentaries we've done, it's pretty much been the same editor.
Mm-hmm.
Here we go, Leo Crow. I had to catch this on the rewatch because I was watching a second time. I was wondering what the heck. I mean, yeah, their judges are there behind them, so they would see all this going on. But I remember, oh yeah, he turned them off. So that's
yeah. They're just like, I'm confused. What happened just there? I'm very concerned about this.
I'm very glad they addressed it because I was going to have a major problem with like, what?
right. Because those judges, they don't really know like the ins and outs of the technology, so they would be confused if they saw something like that.
Yeah, he can distract the one guy with cake, which again possibly he knows, and he's just going for cake to help him out. It's unknown.
Right.
So all I can remember in the Futurama, the parody was that he knew, but he was playing along. So I don't know if they're saying that here, but then this came first, so it's kind of strange.
Mm-hmm.
Or just putting his music, and he's just he's composing.
It's just like kind of like the last of the mundanity, you know what I mean? The last of the day in the life type stuff. It's like everything. This is like the inciting incident of the film right here.
Yeah, I'd argue Act One probably ends when he escapes.
Yeah, Act One ends at the climax of the chase, I would say.
Yeah, the inciting incident of the frame up, that's where Act One would end, at least by my figure.
Because if anyone listens to our Spielberg mounts, they know that we're just big suckers for the 3-act structure. We just love the 3-act structure.
I just love from a design standpoint. I just love like they put on these little gloves that can allow them to manipulate the screen.
It almost kind of reminds me of like the Nintendo Power Glove or something.
In many ways, it's sort of it's pre-Iron Man. It's pre the manipulation of
right.
A holographic. It's like the screen or hologram manipulation from Iron Man.
That music just gets ingrained in your head. I feel like I don't know, it's funny. In a lot of ways, I feel like this movie influenced other filmmakers more than it influenced Spielberg's movies going forward. Because I think the idea of this classical music very much rooted its way into Inception. Because of course, Inception, we have that that piece of opera that sort of like winds its way throughout the fabric of the movie in a very diegetic sort of way, much in the same way this movie does.
I love they acknowledge that birthday parties are going on at work. Oh, by the way, just that the guy, the billboard behind during the murder, with the guy with the sunglasses. Tell me if I'm crazy. Doesn't that look like Ben Affleck to you guys at all?
Oh, I don't know. I'd have to.
Well, we'll
I'd
see
have
it
to-
again later on. It's like, it looks like Ben Affleck to me wearing sunglasses. We'll see.
It might just be Ben Affleck.
That's the thing. I mean, I can't.
I mean, you don't know. He might have just had a free day. Like, hey, why wouldn't I be an extra in a Spielberg movie?
He and Damon just crashed the set.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
they crash the set, they eat the donuts, they film cameos, and they get out of there. All in actors' work.
Oh god.
And of course, here we go. Here's like, he's just going over it again and again just to make sure it's happening. Unfortunately, Wally is bearing witness to this. And again, we have that moment with Wally. I really love that. Gives a good sense of history. That whole I'll give you 2 minutes coming up.
Mm-hmm.
Now, very importantly for later on, just so you know, again, he does change things later on. It's not just the same thing happens because when he shoots him here, he's shooting him from a distance. That's just important to kind of note there. That again, this is like him actually murdering the guy.
Sure, but at the same time, I really do like all the visual clues that we're getting for what eventually does take place. It's kind of a good misdirection in a way.
Oh, yeah. And these are those Class C bits coming up here. And just something to... oh, well, never mind. We have the elevator thing coming up. Oh, God. Oh, jeez.
Yeah, this is where it really starts to ramp up, I think.
Oh, yeah.
This guy's just so sleazy. I think Colin Farrell just does such a good job with that.
Oh, yeah. Now I gotta
just
tell
kind of
you,
like the guy at the workplace that you just hate and he's after your job and he's like just
very much the Randall Boggs of Minority.
right. Yeah, exactly. That's a good way to put it. Yeah.
Now here's the thing here's a minor nitpick for the movies. One thing it's every time I watch it, it kind of sticks in my craw a little bit. It doesn't kill a movie by any stretch, but it's the fact that in this scene he knows that you can look at him, and you can see that that Whitwer isn't the guy. He knows Whitwer isn't the guy. Yet when he's calling Burgess, he's telling him, "Whitwer's the guy. Whitwer's the guy." I mean, he knows in that scene Whitwer's not the, he didn't know about it. That's what I'm saying. Like, it seems like he's a little slow in the uptake in the scene following that. To me, that's the way it reads every time I watch it.
Yeah,
again, it's a minor thing. I'm just saying it's like, but again, he straightens it. He straightens out. I guess I'm just saying.
mm-hmm.
That was like the cool thing kind of Farrell was playing with in that scene. Like, oh, wait a minute, this isn't at all what I thought it was. I was gonna get you fired over drugs.
Right.
Because I'm that guy.
Oh yeah, I'm really mean Steve from 13 Reasons Why.
Yep.
Kind of mixing our references there.
Well, actually, I can make it relevant because actually Jeff, one of the guys on the team named Jeff, he is actually a stunt coordinator who was not only a stunt coordinator on Spider-Man, but stunt coordinator on Captain America: The First Avenger. Again, the Dum Dum Dugan comparison, but also the stunt coordinator on 13 Reasons Why.
Awesome.
Nice.
So we kind of tied 3 references in with one because we referenced Spider-Man, we referenced Dum Dum Dugan, and we referenced 13 Reasons Why.
Now that's some quality podcasting right there.
Yeah.
My God, we should get a Peabody for that shit.
Right.
All right, so I love this
now
idea of the car that, is like pre-programmed to go back. Oh, God, such a good shot right there with the...
Now, here's the cool thing from Batman Beyond I was talking about here. Because Batman Beyond, they're famous for, like, they have, like, elevator subways. That basically, it's like a subway, but instead of going, it's like going forward. It goes up. It goes, like, it goes to, like, upper levels of the city, like an elevator. So it goes, like, one tier to a second tier to a third tier of, like, different parts of town. The bad part of town's in the bottom, classy part of town's on the very top. So it goes up. Basically goes up and down exactly like what he's jumping on right now.
This just looks like such a fun video game level.
Oh, yeah.
It would be.
They did make a video game out of Minority Report, but the one thing it's known for is having ragdoll physics, where if you, like, punch an enemy and throw it out a window, it'll just, like, the enemy will, like, just go flying. And so people, like, play that game for that reason. But, yeah, it's not a good game.
Now, here's a very, very minor
Again with
of,
the I'm sorry, Dragon. Again with the the plants being in the buildings, being in people's places of business.
right. Well, here's something just it kind of just happened, but something very minor. Well, it's a minor here, but it's going to get a little bit more noticeable later on. I think Spielberg, while this film is good, I think Spielberg does make some questionable choices. Questionable choices in that they're really strange, like out of left field choices. Like I don't really think we need
Like
them
the yoga
there.
class.
That's what I'm saying. Like the yoga class is a minor version.
I think the yoga class is just his way of like a little piece of world building. Like I said, Spielberg was very intrigued by like the quirkiness of how people would interact 50 years from now.
Right. Again, that's just like an introduction to it. But later on, we get some really stuff I really think we should have cut. But we'll get there later.
Okay. As I said,
But,
I definitely think this movie very much drags at the end. I think the third act is very much the weak point of this movie, I feel.
Sure. Well, also is that debatable fourth act. So
Exactly, right.
Yeah. Let's see. So I think we're about to happen upon one of my favorite scenes coming up. Well, yeah, we're getting there because we're in the mall, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And this is what I'm talking about with the personalized ads right here.
And this was such a good. I love the personalized ad thing. It's such a cool idea.
And also just the classiest way to work in product placement ever.
Yes, and also something really cool about this is just it's like we have a fun payoff for this because right now John's trapped. I mean he's getting retinal scanned everywhere, which means there's like no escape in the future. It's very much like Logan's Run. It's like there's no escape for you.
Right.
Basically, they'll have you on file and you can't really escape. It's making it very difficult. And later on, we'll see with Burgess. Burgess will be in a position thanks to the future where he cannot escape either.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like a fun little kind of setup for that right here.
Of course, a setup with the eye device as well.
Now, one of my favorite things in the scene that's coming out that we're building to with McDonough here is with Fletch. I love the idea that he has people on his side in the pre-crimes unit. Like they're like obviously Jad is on his side. Like Jad's on his side, he's just doing his job here. But also I like that Fletch is trying to give him a chance, trying to get himself to turn himself involuntarily.
Yeah, I mean, in a weird way, I think Fletch is almost kind of like the Gordon to Tom Cruise's Batman.
I know. You beat me by a few seconds. Yes. Now, of course, very literally, his name is Gordon. It's Gordon Fletcher, and they call him Fletch for short. So very much so, he is absolutely Gordon. But seriously, that's
absolutely the Gordon of this movie.
But I kid you not. Honestly, I gotta tell you, bear in mind, he's not my A choice, but I'm saying down my list of Gordons I've always had in mind for the movies. I could see him on there towards the latter half.
Well, we'll see how the current Gordon does because I'm stoked for current Gordon.
Well, after the account, I'm absolutely sold on him.
Yes.
I was already again. He was always my second choice for Gordon with Cranston out of the running, of course. It was always Keaton.
So this is like I was saying about the set pieces in the future tech. These backpack jetpack things.
Oh yeah. So I just love the whole outfit. I love the gear. I love everything. And then again, this is one of my favorite scenes right here. So this whole sequence, again, this is like the very Jim Gordon-esque scene opening here, where just he's saying they exchange pleasantries. They exchange like, oh yeah, the fall really takes it out of you a little bit. Basically, yeah, a little out of shape, I guess. That sort of thing. Like they're making conversation. He's just very much like very much like year one Gordon or something. Just like telling Batman, look, don't run. Just, let's do this quietly. And of course, he's going to have to escape. And that's very much what this scene is. And I just love this scene. I just love just everything about this scene. Well, by the way, this is something we do have in real life, and I don't know if it was like it predated or anything, but the stick sticks. This is a real thing used in law enforcement sometimes. It's not as regular because it's pretty much controversial. Because
right.
This actually does happen, only it's a little worse. Basically, it's either they throw up or it comes out the other end, let's say. So, point is, the stick sticks are not something to trifle with, and again, this whole sequence, and of course, and this is something I mentioned with the movies, that Tom Cruise is very famous for doing his own stunts, and you can imagine Spielberg had an issue with that.
Oh, God.
Spielberg made him promise that the really dangerous stuff he wouldn't do, or at least because he can't sleep at night knowing that he's actually putting Tom Cruise in life-threatening danger. And again, these are the bits I'm loving throughout this scene, where he's saying, you got your grip, he's making sure he's not hurting these guys, almost like the hallway scene from Civil War a little bit. Cap's like making sure he's not killing guys.
Right.
But again, this is Tom Cruise doing all these stunts right here. He's climbing up the ladder. He's falling like this kind of. Bear in mind, a lot of this is on wires, but he's still doing the fall like this car thing. It's all him.
It's really impressive.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I guess Cruise has a death wish.
It's something like that.
Well, again, he was literally hanging off the side of a plane in one of the Mission Impossibles. I mean, the guy's a nut. He's a lucky nut, but he's a nut nonetheless. And of course, this is they've been playing with the jetpack here. And the jetpack is something in real life that we have. It's just not as impressive as this because there are jetpacks that are powered by water. I've seen those. I don't know if we've advanced up, like kind of almost like a fire extinguisher water kind of blend, so they can actually propel themselves. But you have to be
basically Mario Sunshine.
Essentially, you're plugged in. Imagine you're on a jetpack, but it's plugged in.
Oh, okay.
Essentially, that's it. You have to be plugged in.
Okay, reality, I love this. I love the woman just freaking out, like, "Get out of my house!"
Now, if I were in this scene, I would tell her, like, "Shut up, lady," just because she keeps going on and on about it. Just understandably, she's peeved. I get that. I'm saying I would eventually. Yep.
The main problem with jetpacks in real life, though, would be like the problem with thrust and distribution. Is like it wouldn't be able to realistically create flight.
It's not like there's like a parade float or anything. We're gonna have like Turbo Man have a jetpack or anything. It's not like we can manage that in real life.
Maybe. I love how they Spielberg like injects humor into this scene. Like it's supposed to be like an action scene, but like these people's reactions are still kind of funny in a way.
And again, I just love kind of this brotherly dynamic between the cops here. We're just he's like go to sleep, go to bed after he slammed him into the bed. Just again, doesn't want to hurt.
That's one thing I'm really glad they didn't forget to put humor. They didn't forget to put humor into this movie, and I'm really glad about that.
This movie.
If this movie didn't have any. Yeah, if it didn't have any humor in it or for anything, it would have been just like a slog almost.
No, I agree.
That sequence is really cool. Really. This sequence, the assembly line is a really memorable sequence from the film in terms of the action set piece. And Oko is my favorite weapon. I love from this. I love the Sonic shotguns. Sonic shotguns, awesome. They keep turning it. That's the cool thing about it. Is every time you can spin it, you can turn to all sorts of things to reload. It's awesome.
Okay. Yeah, it's like I don't forget what I was gonna say here.
And once again, we get, just the set pieces keep ramping up, like with using the technology. It's seamless. Like, the scene with the jetpacks blends seamlessly into this scene with the guns. It's just like, it's very, very kinetic.
And what's amazing, though, is that none of it really needs to be explained because you actually believe this world has this stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think there's a message with this.
Okay, sorry, go ahead.
I think there's a message with this scene that there's some danger in efficiency. Again, that's kind of the message of the whole pre-crimes, pre-cog things. That this place like very futuristic, very efficient how it assembles a car on the fly. But of course, one wrong move and John's dead or Whitward's dead.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's kind of the subtext of the scene. Again, really intense fight too.
I assume this is Tom Cruise taking all the, doing his own stunt choreography and everything.
I'd imagine so. It'd be rather consistent with it.
But it's actually Colin Farrell, though. I wonder if that's him doing it too.
Well, yeah, he might have some sense, so it might not be him.
So yeah, as you were saying, Dragon, just the very things that are making this world, user friendly, right, are the things that are yes, very, very cool kind of visual, like, symbolism right there in the middle of an action scene. That's something that Spielberg does really well. This is like the good version of the droid factory from Attack of the Clones.
Absolutely. I'm so glad you said that. I was thinking the same thing. I wrote my notes. Lucas, take notes.
Exactly.
And actually, wait a minute. When did Attack of the Clones come out?
I believe it was 2002.
Oh.
It was the same year. I thought it was the same year.
Well, yeah, it's the same year.
Because I think Menace came out in 1999.
Yeah.
Yeah, it did, yeah. And then Revenge of the Sith was 2005. They were all 3 years apart.
There's a chance it could have been 2002. Well, regardless, it's really close, if not.
I'm pretty sure it's 2002.
But I just want to mention this before we just kind of forget about it. I love the suspenders look on Colin Farrell.
Yeah, go ahead, Jacob.
I'm bringing back the suspenders in the future. Go on, Jacob.
I'm just saying, I really love that car. I mean, it'd be pretty cool if they actually did make something like that for real.
I think that design of car is pretty tangible.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like an actual functioning automobile.
Yeah, it's very sleek, and that's something that I feel like we need in modern automobile design is just like, like the sleek and compact design, to make up for the fact that there's so many vehicles on the road nowadays. I mean, I don't know jack shit about car culture, but I'm just saying, you would think that smaller would be better.
Right. So let's see. So now we're reaching Hindeman, Dr. Iris Hindeman. Now, signed a note here. But when we meet Iris, she's played by the great Lois Smith, really acclaimed theater actress, but also she's been in movies, and most recently she was in the Nice Guys. She was the Coke bottle glasses lady that.
Okay.
Like she was Misty Mound's what was it, grandmother?
Yeah, right.
Anyway. And here's the thing with this scene. So I'm not holding this. I don't want to hold it against it because I think it's more just kind of it's a memorable visual thing. Very Poison Ivy-esque, just all the Batman references we're making now.
Okay, that's the thing with the scene. It's basically like Spielberg auditioning for Batman, right? Like,
I know.
Oh, if you guys ever want to make a serious Poison Ivy Batman movie, call me.
Because honestly, too, this is the Poison Ivy I would have loved to see, and because one, it's a human lady who's more obsessed with plants than than humans. Bear in mind, I know she's not exactly fitting that, but I'm just saying it's like a human Poison Ivy versus like the plant like Poison Ivy. But I'm just saying I think the plant thing somewhat plays a little random. I mean, you could look at it as grown versus built, like kind of the natural world versus the artificial world. I think that's what they're going for. The
one thing that I kind of tie it together with, like I said, Dragon, is that visual motif of in the future people are having like more plant life in their houses, probably to make up for the fact that there's less plant life out in the natural world. So
I think I didn't consider. I think you're right, too.
So I do think that there is sort of like it's mostly just a visual thing. Having said that, I do think this is a stopover that sort of, like, this is the first scene in the movie that could have been a little bit trimmed pace-wise, I think. Up until this point, I think the movie has been perfect on a pacing level.
Something I wanted to say with that sequence you're going on about, Tegan, you're absolutely right. How we keep just kind of amping up and keep continuing the action. Go from the car hopping to the, the alleyway, the car hopping to the alleyway to the... to the factory. It feels very much, and just kind of tracking Spielberg style, feels very much like Raiders. It feels very much how we just keep the action going. From like the looking for Marion to the sword fight scene. Keep it going.
Definitely, yeah.
Momentum going.
Though admittedly, it is always good to take a break in a while if it doesn't disrupt the pace too much.
Yeah,
which this kind of does.
right.
I kind of like the plant observation.
I know, it's like. Like even Raiders had its moments of downtime.
Yeah, sure.
This is just
this one does.
I mean, the thing with those moments of downtime, though, I mean, like let's take a movie like I don't know, like Jaws, for example. Jaws has its moments of downtime, but it's all about developing the character. And whereas this, I feel like this is one of the weaker scenes in the movie. Dragon, I'll agree with you on that front.
We have 3 moments of downtime in this movie. We have this scene, we have the scene later on with Stelmare, and we have, of course, the scene when we go to Laura. So those are kind of the 3 moments of downtime. And then big sequences of downtime. Well, I think the middle one's the best, but we'll get there.
This is just kind of comes out as an exposition dump to me.
And it's not as natural as we had with Farrell early on. Again,
the Farrell one was really natural. Like, that was Spielberg kind of like at the height of his powers. You know what I mean?
I mean, kind of with the plant thing, but again, more just what's said in the scene versus the plant thing. I'm saying that was just kind of attaching a lot more to it. But the scene feels a little random because it's like a random exposition dump instead of just feeling it's like, hey, remember that creator, person who's responsible for the precogs? You haven't really built up that much.
All right, Jacob.
I was saying, it's like I kind of agree with you. Sometimes this kind of does come off as a bit heavy-handed and out of left field in a way.
I I do like the background of the precogs. What do you guys think about that? Now that's a minor change. That's a little bit of a change from the books. In the book, they were just like they were kind of born with just naturally born with a deficiency. In this case, they're somewhat mutated. Somewhat, it's basically they. I mean, it's very similar to the idea. Basically, the idea they are the product of heroin addicted mothers.
Yeah, and I really like that idea a lot. I think that's one of the big takeaways of the scene. Really is.
So, I mean, I do like the backstory she's expositing. I do like what she is expositing. Like the idea, they were the few survivors. Like, and again, basically the only positive thing they survived was much to their displeasure because they're being used. They're basically kind of crime batteries, essentially.
And again, we get like some. Yeah, go ahead, Jacob.
I've never actually read the book, the Phil K. Dick novel. So I don't know how they differ. So sorry.
No, it's fine. You don't have to apologize. It's a movie. We're talking about the movie. So yeah, like they do try and do visual things to like spice up the scene, like with the plants and everything. Honestly, I think it comes off as a little bit too like fantasy, and it's like more the plants are like more fantasy than sci-fi, I feel. So like while they're cool, they're a bit tonally out of place with the rest of the story. And I think I know what the visual motif Spielberg was trying to go for was, as I was saying, like my theory is that there's just a lot less natural life left on the earth. Like there's a lot less forests and stuff. So humanity kind of wants to decorate their house. But like I said, just the breeding these weird sort of alien plant things, it's just weird, and it doesn't really have a lot of context with the rest of the film.
Let me throw this out, just kind of occurring to me in the moment here. What if this is what the style and like these touches and these conversations we're having is based on the whole movie? It's starting to feel like this movie might have been Spielberg kind of getting some additional Kubrick stuff he had in the system out from AI.
Oh, I definitely think that's the case for sure. For sure.
And he has like the perfect avenue for it with Philip K. Dick, who has like all the room in the world to explore upon these things. It'd be kind of it's somewhat of in a good way. It's sort of like a kind of love child of Philip K. Dick and Stanley Kubrick in a way.
Yeah, definitely. And of course, with the troubled production history of AI, that was sort of, it was as much Kubrick's movie as it was Spielberg's movie to a certain extent.
Exactly, because again, Kubrick started and Spielberg finished.
And so Spielberg definitely probably felt a need to kind of, like work from the ground up and get some of those ideas about, doing a Stanley Kubrick style film and sort of, start from point A with it.
Yeah, and of course we had just more Poison Ivy, though she kisses him randomly.
Yeah, again, it's just like this scene just goes on too long. It just kind of drags, It's like there's no reason it has to be like 7-8 minutes long. It's just it fills up too much screen time, I think. Now, one of the things I want to point out with the sense of humor in this movie that connects back to AI is like, do you guys remember me kind of going off about like I'm not sure if I went off like on air or off air about like one of my least favorite elements of a movie. One of the things that a movie can do that'll like really turn me off to it is basically having an inconsistent tone. And I think AI is like the king of movies with inconsistent tone.
That's very true, yes. And I think I remember you talking about inconsistent tone. I can't remember.
Like that's the reason why I hate Click. I know a lot of people kind of tend to like Click, or at least defend it a little bit. But I hate Click because it's like I just simply cannot handle a 5-minute fart joke involving David Hasselhoff.
Again, the weird thing with Click is I like the dramatic parts of Click. I don't like anything else. I just like the dramatic walking and the dramatic parts. That's what I like about Click.
And my whole thing is like the dramatic parts I don't feel like are earned because the rest of the movie is so stupid, and so therefore it just kind of becomes this weird sort of tonal problem. And I feel like that same sort of tone problem is present in AI as well, except with AI it's much worse. Because in AI, it's just that movie is just like oppressively depressing, and then like wants to be whimsical, and also has like weird like sex humor with Jude Law. It's like, what the fuck is that movie trying to do?
What's just more prickish about Whitworth here is he takes his desk.
Yeah, and he's like, "Oh, he's not coming back. Don't worry about it. Don't worry."
One lady's saying, "Hey, you're sitting at the boss's desk. Yeah, he's not going to come back." What do you mean by it?
Yeah.
What a great A prick. He dresses fantastically.
He does.
Yeah, I think we saw Hamlin in suspenders
Oh
once.
God, I'm sure we have.
Yeah, I think we had him do the Gordon Gekko look way back in season 1. Remember when Jimmy did the Bullpen
Dragon,
thing? Anyway.
can I just state for the record that I am in the middle of Better Call Saul withdrawal right now?
Well, I told you, there's a short film. You gotta watch the short film.
Well, that's gonna be like a hit, okay? That's gonna be like, anyways.
Anyway. Oh yeah, here we're hitting upon one of my favorite parts of the movie here. So again, one of my favorite guys is yet again in this movie, Peter Stormare, who was in The Lost World.
Yeah.
Peter Stormare, just to recap, also another he was Dracula in the Batman animated movie, but I know people know him best from Fargo as well as on TV from Prison Break, the first season of Prison Break.
Okay.
And again, Lost World, as we just kind of went over. But oh my God, this guy's such a good actor. I can't get enough of this guy. He I love this scene. This scene boils down. All the stuff with Stormare, I think, is great. But when he's alone in the apartment, that's when things happen. I think we could absolutely cut from the movie. But we'll get there. But this is great. The idea that this guy, he's a black market doctor, and that's how he knows about this guy through the guy who had his eyes removed. That's how he, like how we kind of laid the breadcrumbs for that. And he's just such kind of he's like not an unreliable narrator. He doesn't really make any sense. But he's sort of like
No, it doesn't.
You know what I'm saying? He's he's just like someone you can't trust. He's someone he's so untrustworthy, yet he has somewhat of a sense of honor about him. He's so friendly to him.
I think he would fit in well with the Breaking Bad criminal underbelly. You know what I mean? Just sort of.
That's the thing. He's like the evil version of the vet. Or he's the less evil, more sadistic. He's the more sadistic, icky version of the vet.
I hear you.
Actually, what his name is just very much his moniker. He's the eye doctor.
Oh God.
That's just Mike Herman
the eye doctor.
Well, that's literally what he is in this movie.
That's
he's
awesome.
the eye doctor. No, I'm saying that's not what he's credited. I'm saying he is.
I'm sorry.
Would be eye doctor. He's Dr. Solomon Eddy. Good name. Solomon. So yes, he he's loved this idea of going
this
to the
nurse is so fucking creepy.
She is.
Oh my God.
And actually kind of like she manhandles
Okay,
Cruz.
this is just one of those things where it's like I would be so like I would die of fright going under the anesthesia with these people. You know what I mean?
I know, and that's what's so brilliant about this. He injects him with anesthesia before he gives him consent. He's still talking it over after he's given him the money. And then this is the part I love about this.
Look at that device. It's just no.
I love the design on this device, but it holds his head in the place and he has like little bite guards. Like, oh my God. This is the part where I really love the scene where basically says we know each other. And again, he's dazed and he's like, he can't really fight it right now. It's just he's going under anesthesia. And he's basically telling him, like, he's just revealing that you and I know each other, basically before the pre-crime days. So otherwise he would have been captured and would have put him like the server farm. But no, he's back when there was an actual prison, he booked him. And I love his crime. His crime is so sadistic that he was a plastic surgeon who basically gave burn victims new faces, and he did such an experimental type thing it set him on fire.
Yeah,
he set burn victims on. He set the new faces of burn victims on fire. Oh God, it's so that in itself is twisted, and also he recorded it, which is even worse.
It's another thing, like I was saying with Gideon, where I feel like we could have a whole another movie with this guy.
Oh yeah, but here's the twisted thing I love about him. Aside from all the eye puns, which are just kind of fun and
right.
And also a little nod to Kubrick here with Clockwork Orange with little eye clamps.
I could see that, yeah, a little bit.
No, but seriously, what I really love in this scene is when he calls him a good friend. I'll give you the good friend discount. And as he's saying that, he mentioned that he was in the prison. When he was in prison, he went to the prison library, which kept him a little bit safe. But at the same time, he still was subject to this horrible prison stuff that he's describing. Again, while he's completely helpless, and you don't know if this guy's going to kill him or do something horrible to him, yet he is still treating him. He's still treating him nicely. He was just business essentially. That's the way he's treating him.
Mm-hmm.
He got to know himself in prison. Basically, they got him to being this sadistic eye doctor. He got him to this place, the stuff he read up in prison. So he's kind of.
So you're just wondering, like, is he looking for revenge? Is he genuinely thankful to Tom Cruise for turning his life around? It's like, yes. You don't know. You know what I mean?
and Tiki, this is the thing. This is what Stormare does best. He plays kind of like the Uneasy Alliance. In Prison Break, he played a mobster, and he says he plays the Uneasy Alliance like there's no tomorrow. And it's like absolutely. He was just really, really good in that scene. Again, he's acting so buddy with him the whole time, though. Just again acting so, but you don't know how ingenuous he is.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so again, but also I think it's like part. Well, last thing I'll say, but I think it's also the thrill of just mutilating his this former upstanding man who would like condemn him. Is like I get to now mutilate him because he's desperate. I think he's getting the thrill from that. I think that's why
Right.
like, so I think that's why he's not holding a grudge. Like I get to mutilate him because now he's on my level.
And as I said, it's just a terrifying idea to like go under the knife with this guy right as he's revealing that backstory to you.
I know it's so terrifying. Anyway, on to Laura here. So Laura,
Yes. I think she's a pretty effective, like distant lover character in the Spielberg canon. I don't know. Like she becomes very critical in the third act, of course, or the fourth act, however you want to break that down.
Yeah.
Of course, very much sort of in the same realm of, it's kind of interesting because this is like, we're almost dealing with like a divorced parent situation of a dead kid.
well, again, the kid's he's missing, so that's something that people can speculate on the movie, like, if he's alive or not. But regardless, yes, he's essentially dead.
But you know what I'm saying? Like we're getting these same sort of like divorce tropes of Spielberg, but in a very sort of heightened situation in the case of the missing kid thing.
Yeah.
So we're kind of hitting two birds with one stone there.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Well, on the whole, with the daddy issues itself, it's well, I'll say it when we get to the dream state. I'll hit that later.
I just
Oh, this is great.
Forgive me. This cover reference kind of seems out of place, but I just binge watched Stranger Things, and it just reminded me of that.
Well, of course, Stranger
Like old
Things has a
missing
lot
kid
of Spielbergian influence.
Yeah, so I was like, that kind of reminded me of that in a way. So forgive me for the not really obscure reference, but out of nowhere reference.
It's fine.
All right. So again, I love that, and this to me, this is a better version of the greenhouse scene. To me, this is like what we're taking some time to again. It's almost like kind of that video game where we're kind of having the new mission given to us here. He's establishing these. So he's so creepy and so interesting. It makes it all kind of. Again, it's less natural, but it's just fun. It's like you have 12 hours when
He's like yelling at Anderton every time he puts his face
don't
to
scratch,
it.
never scratch. You have 12 hours. And it warns him like, or else you'll go blind. You take those bandages off before 12 hours, and he leaves him milk in a sandwich. The creepy nurse left the milk in a sandwich.
Then the leftovers.
Yep, the rope.
The rope is actually a pretty good idea. It's
I love the rope.
practical.
Yeah, the rope idea. It's always just kind of funny too. It's like one goes to the kitchen, one goes to the bathroom.
Right,
But very practical for a blind. He's leaving a blind man alone in the park. Again, he has to move on. I don't know. I don't know if he lives here or not. The point is, he's going maybe to another.
I think the whole point is he has to move locations as quickly as he can to avoid law enforcement. I think that's what they're trying to get at.
That makes sense. Guess. I could buy this. Regardless, I don't know if John rented this place or not, but it seemed like it was really the other guy's place. But you're right. I'd buy the moving location. I like this timer that we have the lit up. Huh?
I said he might just be squatting. Like it might just be like
exactly.
an abandoned building or something.
Sure. Yeah. Well, we know other people are in the building, but it could be squatting in that apartment. Yes.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
And also, I just love how friendly he is because he gives him like two little bonus things here. I love that he's so pleasant. That's the thing I love about this guy. He's so pleasant. He gives him the paralytic bonus thing, basically, so he can change his face. And he puts in his little goodie bag. I just love the way he says goodie bag.
And it's very much like that very much is a video game, right? He's like, okay, here's your next mission. Here's a cool item to help you achieve that mission.
It's awesome. It was so much. Again, unfortunately, it's a little it's a brief kind of tenure in the movie, but
that's what I'm talking. Oh God. Okay. Yeah. Really quick. That's what I'm talking about with Spielberg. Like fleshing out his world. But this is such a freaking heartbreaking scene right here.
And possibly motivated by the drug. Possibly because the other little bonus he gave him was the Narrowin. So he injected. He kind of took a little puff of that.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Anyways, this scene. So with the daddy issues, this is the thing I was hitting at with the daddy issues. So I think the message with this stuff might be because the kids always talking about running, kind of outdoing the father. It might be sort of like the child trying to surpass the father, every parent's worst nightmare being. It's like that deep fear of being supplanted, where he doesn't really see that. It's like it's basically he doesn't have the chance to experience every parent's eventual path in life of being supplanted because his child is taken away from him. I think that's what they're hitting out with the whole the child's trying to get faster, but the sad tragedy is he will never get faster than because he's gone.
Yeah, for sure. And just the way they film it, the way it's like, he's underwater for like maybe 30 seconds, and that's all it took.
Oh yeah, it's so horrifying.
Oh god, it's just like your stomach churns in this moment.
I love it that they shoot this so brilliant. Like he's just like when he's from his POV, where like you're going around left and right all over the place. That's every parent's worst nightmare. Again, it's the Finding Nemo. It's every parent's worst nightmare. The kid being captured.
Absolutely.
So now, okay, so here's the stuff I really don't. So again, after Stonemaier leaves, as much as I love the Stonemaier stuff, and I still like this little alarm clock here, I hate all my worst bit about the movie for me, I hate the gross out stuff. The gross out stuff is completely unnecessary. Like, honestly, even with the drug, well, really, we need this where he's eating first. Okay, first of all, like, the biohazard thing's gross. I believe it's just ice in there, but still, it's like ice, but that had body parts in it. That's just gross. Secondly, he opens the fridge here, and why would they have the exact same foods, but it'd be rotten on different shelves? Like he has like a rotten version of this fresh sandwich on the top shelf, and he's a rotten version of the milk behind
Dragon,
the milk.
if you think about it, it could be part of the operation. Like maybe this is their permanent location, and they always have sandwiches in there. I don't know.
I don't know. It's still like it seems like pointless gross out there. It's like it's just nasty. I don't want to see that.
Oh,
it's like 3 points of grossness. He bites the sandwich, gets the milk, and then he gets the biohazard. Oh god, eyeballs are in that ice. God, even he spits it out. Just god.
Oh god, yeah, I agree.
That's what I'm saying. The minute I saw, for me, it was the minute I saw the biohazard thing because I didn't know if the ice was for one. I didn't know the ice was in the first time. I was like, what the heck is like medical waste? Ugh.
Oh god, yeah. Okay. I
see what I mean? Yeah. Like that stuff we don't need in there at all.
It's. What do you think, Jacob?
Yeah, it's kind of unnecessary. I mean, why would they keep rotten sandwiches in the fridge anyway?
That's what I'm saying.
I think the cops thing was a little on the nose.
I'm sorry, the what thing?
The cops.
Oh, right, yeah. It's,
I think that kind of dates the movie a little bit.
You're right. I think that's just that they just put that in there to say, hey, cops are still on 50 years from now.
Jacob, go ahead.
No, I mean, that's pretty much all I said. I mean, like, it's pretty clear that why take all the effort of making a perfectly clean sandwich in the fridge and then leaving the rotten one in there, like oh I know, unless they're like, oh I know, let's screw with the blind guy.
Well, again, maybe that's part of it. Like I don't know. The reason why I'm not entirely like I agree it's gross out and we don't really need to see it, but it's over quick, right? Like it's a quick scene. It's not like it drags the movie to a halt or anything. And
someone had to make a decision to make those sandwiches, make that horrible looking stuff in the fridge. Someone had to put thought.
I mean, I think what it is it kind of like goes into like the sick sense of humor that they did have. That'd be my guess.
Oh, so by the way, the guy on Neil McDonough's left here, Jeff. That's the stunt coordinator guy. That's the one who worked on 13 Reasons Why and Spider-Man and Captain America.
So
I love the overhead shots here with the spiders.
Yeah, I love how everyone's reacting to it differently. Like some people, like the kids are absolutely terrified of the spiders.
I get such kind of a fascist Nazi vibe in this scene. Just like the idea of like the Nazis are coming, they're like asking for your, or like a better example, like kind of like the Empire. And it's like the Empire from Star Wars, like, where's your identification? Where are your papers? That sort of thing. They're going door to door almost.
Right. And then I like how other people are just pretty much like unfazed by it. Like we see the couple that's arguing with each other, and then they like just sort of take a time out to get the eye scan, and then they go right back to arguing.
I love how we just go like we do like the above tile shot essentially. We keep going like it's such a great, almost like kind of panel like framing. Really cool staging. Again, those are those Yanu shots, I guess.
Oh yeah.
Also, it kind of connects to the theme of no privacy in the futures because we're seeing everyone these intimate moments. Like there's a couple getting really amorous. We got a guy in the John. We got the couple arguing. We got everyone's just kind of at the worst moments. I love even blind is the cleverness to it's like plug up the doorways. And again, while the ice is gross, I mean this is like gross for practicality's sake. He's putting the ice in the tub because they detect two things: the eye scans and body temperature.
Yeah.
Yes. So his idea here is like, if he gets inside the ice, they won't be able to find his heat signature. They just won't be able to find him. Then we have like this really cool, and again, just based on because this was in 2002, kind of reminds me a little bit of the Green Goblin, Spider-Man, the blood drop moment. The blood almost, the blood drops and almost hits Norman Osborn.
Yeah, but with the air bubble.
Yeah, it's because he does recognize either way. Like he picks up on it, so it's kind of like, oh, it's so little when they got him.
So, what do we think of the design of the spiders in general?
Well, I like them.
Yeah, I think. Go ahead, Jacob.
It's a nice way to like kind of remain inconspicuous.
I think they're probably one of the best designs in the movie, and I think they're easily one of the most marketable designs. Like, I remember these things were all over the trailers.
And I can't speak to this 100%, but I'm just given the fact that, again, he and Cruz worked on War of the Worlds. I think there might be a War of the Worlds influence on the spiders a little, maybe?
With the pods, yeah, I could see that.
Yeah. The tripods do look a lot like those, like miniature, like larger.
Yeah, like these things could almost be like, miniature, like collectible versions of the War of the Worlds pods.
Yeah, like it's a little Easter egg of, hey, remember War of the Worlds?
Right.
Did he and Tom Cruise ever do any other movies besides those two?
I don't think so.
Or these are the only two he did. That's what I thought.
Yeah. Which is odd because
again,
War of the Worlds and I can't wait to talk about War of the Worlds probably next year, but that I think is one of the more underrated Spielberg movies.
Well, you gotta remember, again, it took them 10 years to do this, and again, it's not that they don't want to work together, it's that their schedules and they have other franchises and stuff. It's like they keep you have other projects lined up. It's like
franchise the damn thing. Franchise.
Exactly. Now, here's one gripe I do have, because again, I just think it was so wonderfully set up, and I wish the payoff was a little bit. If not, it's not that there's no payoff. It's just like they really explain, because it looks like he still has 6 hours to go. Yet he gets scanned, and nothing bad happens. Because I thought the thing in the throw was like they take the blindfold. He's going to be blind. We don't really have any. I guess it hurts a lot. I think that's the payoff. Maybe.
What I thought they were going to do is that he was going to be blind in the one eye.
Yeah, but we didn't. That's the thing. We never really have any indication of that, which kind of bugged me. If we did that, that's fine. But
or maybe, I guess it kind of speaks to the whole like unreliable element with the surgeon, though, right?
Yeah, it's.
That's the best way I can pass it off as, at least.
But you see what I'm saying, though, right? I wish they had like some direct, like one thing or the other.
Like, yeah, I wish at the very least we could have had like. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Jacob.
I mean, you mean like a throwaway line?
No, not necessarily a throwaway line. I wish we could have had maybe Tom, it would have been, wouldn't it be great if there was a running gag of Tom Cruise scratching his eye throughout the movie? Like kind of paying off the no scratching thing.
And like a whole depth perception problem.
Yeah.
Well, I was thinking like something like he gets the scan done, but it's like it can only scan the one eye.
Mm-hmm.
Like basically, whenever you see the scanning effects, only on the one eye instead of both eyes. Maybe I don't know.
Oh, okay, I could see that. Right.
I love this poor guy, by the way. Really friendly guy. He's a really good tour guy. That's all. He's really good at his job. It's one of the kind of kind of point that out.
Kind of reminds me of Wallace Shawn a little bit.
Well, he reminds me of I made sure that it's not the same actor, but he's identical to the father from Even Stevens for me.
Oh God. Okay.
And also that same actor again.
Good old Shia.
Well, also assuming it's not this guy instead of the actor from Even Stevens, but remember that guy was also in Hitchcock. He was the theater owner at the end. I want to say reading the letter from Hitchcock.
So yeah, we have again. This is very video game like. We have Tom Cruise using the item and then going into the map.
Oh yeah. Again, I love that. Love the item. And this to me is like the other gross out thing. Like another thing. This I don't know. I really don't like it. This. To me just feels like it's too icky. When he drops the eyeballs. Like, come on, do we really have to have him drop them?
plus they kind of do look kind of fake.
That's what I'm saying. Like we have better eye reveals later on than this. Like of course, later on we have the bit where she like reveals how she got in. Like that was a cool eye reveal. This is like, oh God, it looks. I don't want to think. Usually it's like the finger removal form. I don't know. The eye thing just really weirds me out. Like, oh God.
It's kind of funny though seeing him chase that.
My thing is always fingernails. Oh, just anything
Oh.
with nails, like fingernails and toenails.
For me, I can't stand finger removal. It weirds me out. It's like, oh god, I hate losing pieces of you.
All right,
forever.
all right.
Anyway, so yeah, this one talking about brushing her
Someone-
teeth. It was weird. I'm sorry, Jake. Go.
And now someone's gonna find one of his eyes in a sewer somewhere.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, Dragon. I definitely think this is probably the creepiest moment with Wally right here.
But then we have like a nice moment with Wally coming up here, where it's just, again, like kind of a little reward for like giving the 2 minute head start here, saying, "Look, I don't want to punch you or kick you here, so you got to work with me."
Mhm.
Hiya, John. A little bit. Well, it's always like the little pleasant details. Those are always kind of
Yeah,
nice,
yeah.
fresh bits. And of course, now this is a cool thing with the editing here. I like how our two plots are starting to line up now. The heat's on John even more because now they're figuring out, okay, Agatha factors into this, and of course he's going after Agatha like in the same building at the same time, which it doesn't feel convenient. It feels like, okay, like now it's just, you know, his actions are catching up with him.
It almost kind of reminds me of a more fast-paced version of Close Encounters with with Colin Farrell representing the government conspiracy side of that movie and Tom Hanks representing the Richard Dreyfuss side of that movie.
Yeah, either that or just.
I mean, obviously those plot lines are very different from what's going on here. I'm just saying, like, how they kind of meet in the middle of the film. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So Agatha, I think, is one of the most compelling characters in the film for sure.
Yeah, and Kate Blanchett almost played her.
I could see Kate Blanchett.
And again, that was back with all these delays that kind of made that not happen. But again, they went through a lot of guys. A lot of good. Again, we end up with some really good actors.
Kate Blanchett was shooting Lord of the Rings at the time, so that was probably a pretty big commitment.
Yeah. We also had a really good actor for Laura too, which I love Jenna Elfman from the show she did with J.K. Simmons, Growing Up Fisher. So I mean, I would have loved to see her in the role too. But again, it worked out for the best. I'm just saying, good actors regardless. Spielberg believe it or not, Spielberg has a tendency to attract really good actors. I don't know what that's all about, but it just kind of happens.
So I love how we literally get like flushed down the drain of this set piece that we've kind of been building up the whole movie.
Oh yeah,
it's sort of like a great kind of culmination.
Yeah. That's what point it kind of remind me of Men in Black 2 when they're flushed down. They kind of in a somewhat similar manner. But yes, and I love that we again very panicked again, showing kind of the eerie bond he has with these precogs, saying, "No, you don't understand. She had decided the coin flip essentially. She had the most clout. Without her, we can't see murders anymore."
Right.
Yeah.
There's that ticking clock. Literally.
Oh yeah. It's great because we get the ticking clock element in the opening scene of the movie, sort of a miniature version of that, leading into the this. I think at this point we're sort of going into Act 3. Would you guys agree with that?
It's a weird thing, Tiggy. For me, if you look at what the 4 acts, then it gets more complicated. Then this might be in if you're going by 4. For me, though, I think the end of Act 2 is when they escape the mall, and then the beginning of Act 3 is when they go to the hotel.
Okay, yeah, I could see that. I don't know. With the 4-act structure,
that's the thing. That's why it's really hard to. It's a long movie. It's really hard to kind of break the 3 acts when you have a long movie.
I not necessarily, because I think Close Encounters is almost as long as this movie, and that movie has a pretty clear 3-act structure to it. I honestly think this movie is a 4-act structure. Of course, God knows we love breaking down the 3-act structure more than anything else here on Spielberg.
By the way, I love it goes by real quick, but I still love the fact he has like an Asian man's eyes.
Yes.
Recognized as. This is a fun. Again, we see this incredible look. They're not measuring the pants by another woman.
Again, with the classy product placement. This is a good way to do product placement.
Yeah. Anyway,
and suddenly have an urge to shop at the Gap.
So the way I define the 3 acts is, I think, or the 4 acts, I should say, is I think Act 1 is, of course, all the setup leading into Anderton's escape. Act 2 is Anderton sort of on the run, getting the eyes, and then you know, I think the culmination of Act 2 is what we just saw with getting Agatha. And then Act 3 is going to be everything up until, you know, up until the hotel. And then the climax of Act 3 is, of course, going to be everything in the hotel, which will then lead into the epilogue, which is Act 4. So, like I said, I think it is a pretty clearly defined 3-act structure, just with that added epilogue at the end of it.
Well, I wouldn't call an epilogue to you. I think the final scene we get in the movie is, regardless, that's the epilogue. But I think look at as a 4th act. I think you're on the money with how that would break down if there was a 4th act. So you're right on that. I'll agree with you that way.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, just something I wanted to point out. I'll put a pin. Let's talk about Rufus.
Well, let's talk about the pleasure chambers. Just this, you know, this wish fulfillment technology at play here. Really, really interesting future stuff.
And by the way, this is another idea that's at least was kind of, I guess, parodied in Batman Beyond. There's a really cool episode. There was this guy called Spellbinder. Essentially, he had almost like a mall-like setting where he basically addicted teens to kind of virtual reality. Essentially, the chambers where their wildest dreams came true. It wasn't as
sounds like Ready Player One.
Huh? No.
Because a lot of Ready Player One, Dragon, a lot of the big theme of that book is addiction to technology. So,
well, regardless, I'm saying kind of similar to like having rooms like this. Only said they were like little virtual kind of bubble chambers.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so Rufus, the whole concept is like it's fun world building for the future here. Basically, we saw kind of the pinnacle of kind of the of technology. Again, kind of the utopian version of them. This is kind of, again, that dystopian version, or at least a utopian that is in reality dystopian. It's like it's like a strip mall type setting.
Right. Well, it's not so much a strip mall.
Right. It's like club. An actual. Yeah, I'm saying it's like a really perverted arcade, I guess.
Right. Yeah. In a way.
I love just like, again, looking at the precogs like deities here, where it's just he's like, oh, that's not a precog. Oh my God, it's pretty. I apologize, just so wigged out by.
Yes,
I apologize for everything I did. If I did, I didn't actually do it.
And he just keeps on, you know, throughout the scene, he just like, and I apologize for this, and I'm sorry, and please don't read my mind.
The precogs are like gods to these people.
Oh yeah. So just to talk about the Anderton plot just for a moment here with the ball. It was a detail we kind of glazed over. It's somewhat important. It's kind of like another visual clue that obviously there's a frame going on. Is that the red balls are immediate crimes. The brown balls are the premeditated. He had a brown premeditated ball, which are very rare in itself because again it's usually crimes of passion they have to stop. Because again, people just kind of giving up on premeditated because now it's that the crimes get busted left and right. Mm-hmm. But the fact that he had that for someone he never met, obviously something doesn't line up there. How can he premeditate something if he's never met the guy?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. Little thing to point out. Basically, they're recording the encounter again, so you can try to get some basically see what he's trying to see the Minority Report, trying to see the alternative path that might happen.
Mm-hmm.
Twist is
we kind of glazed over the whole concept of the Minority Report as well, which is kind of important because it's the title of the damn movie.
And it's kind of a MacGuffin, technically.
Yeah, but I do like how it's explained though. It's like it's a very simple concept. It's basically like if one of the precogs disagree with the premonition, then yeah, that would be a Minority Report.
And of course, just the disagreement itself could bring down the whole thing because it's like, hey, there's a doubt.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, after all the stuff they've done, it's like one doubt's gonna be, well, we're gonna have to release those guys.
Like all the file cabinets within file cabinets within file cabinets of prisoners. Yeah,
absolutely. Because again, there's a chance they might not have done what we stopped them from doing. He's at wit's end here, just kind of yelling at poor old Agatha here.
Mm-hmm.
So coming up, though, we have what the performance in Agatha, though. I want to highlight. We're going to see one of the best sequences in the movie coming up. But I love with Agatha, we have this thing where she's like flailing around when she's walking around. The fact that she's used to. She's grown up in water her whole life.
Right.
She literally doesn't have. Well, I guess excuse the pun. She doesn't have her sea legs. You know, she I just love it. She's walking for the first time like a toddler, so she just keeps flailing around. He has to keep helping her out.
I mean, I honestly think there's a lot of dimension to the character, because, like, if you think about it, you know, like, this woman, you know, like, she has, like, her whole life has been, like you said, Dragon, not just the underwater element to it, but also just, like, having this ability, you know, having this gift, having this premonition of the
and
future.
being used because of it. She doesn't have her own life. She's serving other people's ends.
So, in a lot of ways, it makes her both the most wise character in the movie and the most childish character in the movie.
And with the childish thing, too, you gotta remember, this is something that some critics have said they would have loved to see this explored more. I can't fully disagree with them, but I think we still at least get a taste of it here. Is that she, you know, she is kind of a surrogate child for John here. You know, again, just kind of filling the void against the water theme. Again, it's like someone, he lost a child while he was in water. Now he's kind of found another one who was in water.
Sure.
Now, of course, here we have the Moon River scene. I love that we have this kind of orchestral version of Moon River playing, and I love the composition of Moon River. By the way, so I really appreciated this scene. And this scene is just brilliant. If you're gonna have someone who can see the future in your movies, for the sequence that they're gonna see everything as they're going by, and she can't control.
I think this is probably my favorite scene in the film.
It's definitely like the top three.
I love how it's executed. I love how it's like every little premonition pays off. Every little thing that Agatha says pays off.
Absolutely, and like you have this great bit where he tells her to. She tells him to stay. You know, like, you know, don't move. And of course, when the balloon guy comes by, he just completely blocks their view. It kind of reminds me a little bit of Winter Soldier, when, you know, like, Black Widow has like the knowledge of, you know, public displays of affection make people uncomfortable, that sort of thing. Just like, you know, hiding in plain sight.
Exactly. Right.
But also, again, it's just the fun of having a precog, somebody can see a future, because it's not just like helping him. It's also like she's kind of helping random people left and right. Where she says, like, grab the umbrella, and later on she's. At the end of the scene, she bumps into this lady. She's like, kind of wraps her arm around her because she's all flaily.
She's like, he knows, don't go home. Oh god,
that's such a creepy, awesome note.
Yeah, that's a really powerful moment for me.
What did she do? What did that lady do? I have to know.
Oh god. Again, Dragon, part of the world building with Spielberg was like he wanted to craft characters and moments that you wanted to know their stories. You know what I mean? This is such a lived-in environment and a lived-in story.
Yeah, but yeah, you're absolutely right. The small sequence, it's hard to beat. I'm saying there are a lot of really good scenes here. I don't know. I might like the Stonmare scene a little bit more.
I mean, I definitely think that certain other scenes, like the spider scene and the car chase scene, are probably more memorable in the long run just because of the visuals. But I think this is just so well executed.
Oh, the homeless guy bit here, where this was so clever to me with the scene in the future. And she's so smart. She's like a few steps ahead here. You know, she just tosses the coins down there, of course, while he's bending down to get them.
Yes. Oh my god.
Trips over the other two. It's so slapsticky. It's so
I like
funny.
how the homeless guy, like, he wants the money and then he instantly bitches at Tom Cruise, like, hey, you couldn't put it in my hands.
And again, just the theme of water again. She's kind of in water again, but it also their salvation is being dry. You know,
and this is such a good payoff for the umbrella because it's just, of course, it's not about being dry; it's about blending in.
Well, yeah, exactly. I'm just saying that
which is paid off right here. I love this. Is one of my favorite shots of the movie.
Nice.
It's just like, oh, they got it. That's so clever. No wonder she asked him to. She told him to get an umbrella.
Oh yeah, and there's that Ben Affleck looking guy.
Oh god. Okay.
Doesn't he look like Affleck?
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Come on, don't leave me out in the cold like that. You don't see any 90s Affleck at all?
Yeah, I can see it. I can see it.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway. Well, also, it's kind of funny, just to make it relevant. Affleck was in Paycheck, which was another Philip K.
Yes, he was. Thank you.
Which, again, if there's anything there, maybe you saw a connection. I don't know.
Cinematic universe.
Phil K.
Cinematic universe.
Phil K. Dick got around.
Yeah, he did.
Well, his stories did.
Especially in, like, the late 90s and early 2000s.
Like, when people were beginning to we're beginning to realize like the power of his stories.
Well, and again,
you-
Jacob, I think it was kind of partly because of the post 9/11 thing. Like his stories just worked so hauntingly well. It was almost like prophetic how well his stories worked into the post 9/11 culture.
Also, other little fun connecting point is that again, of course, Colin Farrell was in the remake of Total Recall, the other film.
Oh God.
Anyway, so here's a big moment here. Of course, this is the sort of again, this is that if you knew your future, you'd have the chance to change it. And here she's after we see again, what's so great about that mall sequence is that it proves okay, her ability absolutely is correct. When she's telling him here, look, don't go to that room. You might have a chance because you know your future is a rarity. No one really knows their future like this. You have a chance to make a choice instead of face your destiny here. But he has to know why he killed that man. Why he would be in the position of killing that man.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of a little fake out here with the 6 and the 9. Hey, I missed it just now. Did he swipe the card or he just opened the door?
He's knocking on the door.
Right.
Yeah, he just opens it.
Yeah, he just opens it.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like again, you really poor security in these places. Again, you have to swipe.
Just like the really poor security in that, in that super well-guarded facility that was guarding the baby T-Rex at the end of Lost World.
Pretty much.
Dragon, I think I'm a couple seconds behind you because a couple times throughout this I've accidentally clicked on the X-ray thing on Amazon, which pauses the movie. So
well, right now, he turned he fixed the number just now.
What's your timestamp?
141:23.
I'm 141. It looks like I'm a little ahead. Let me like 40 something seconds ahead. Well, not ahead. I'm just like 40 something. Okay, let me see if I can.
Yeah, I'm behind because I'm like at 141:30 right now.
I'm at 40 right now.
Yeah, I think I'm about 10 seconds behind.
Okay, I think I've lined up as close as I can get. We'll see how it goes.
Okay.
We're close. We're all close.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, close enough.
Close encounters. Anyway.
of the fifth kind.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Of the Mixies. No, sir, it's... Never mind. So, yes, we're in the apartment of Leo.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I love the reveal here because we spent, and this thing's been really proud of himself on just kind of like taking on mystery, taking on sort of like the closest thing he's ever going to get to Maltese Falcon in a way. At least that's the way he kind of framed it, I think. We build this mystery and we have like kind of a reveal that makes sense. If a father walked in who lost a child, and he's walking and he's seeing all these pictures of children, and most likely they've been killed, kidnapped, or worse. Oh God, what if it's the worst? And you see this laid out on a bed, which is also just very darkly intimate. Right. And you see all this laid out, you're gonna be really pissed off. And then of course you find pictures of your kid. There's no telling.
Sure.
You understand? We, the audience, understand in a moment. Okay, I understand why he's gonna kill this guy. And again, it's that horrifying notion that, oh God, it's fate. There's no escaping the future. Again, it's sort of like the, if not the ripple effect, then it's something. We play with the ripple effect here. Here, essentially, the ripple effect happens, where you change something. Even if he said he wasn't going to do this, like just him knowing it would have brought him to the same location. Basically, time happens differently, but the same event happens, just not the way it was foretold.
Mm.
That's the ripple effect. And the other way here is again just having that chance not to do it.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely, with the context of the movie and the storyline of changing your, like the innocent cop, it's very much a cool sort of reversal of that. Throughout the whole movie, we're sort of expecting Tom Cruise to be like, no, I'm not going to kill this guy. But then in the moment, not only do we realize, like, yeah, he's going to kill him, but as you said, Dragon, it's like he's completely justified or at least understandable of why he would want to kill him.
I love how Tom Cruise plays. The minute he sees like one of those photo booth printouts of his son with Leo, looks through. You look in his eye. He looks kind of happy, but he also it's like a happy sadness because finally he might have closure. And he looks and says, I'm basically saying to the psychic, I'm going to kill this man, and he knows why now.
Mm.
And I'm going. She's just kind of panicking during this scene, and oh boy, it's a scary chaos going on. And of course, you got to remember the reason she's screaming is freaking out like this during the scene. Not only the fact that it's terrifying, but she's freaking out like this because again, like she lives through like seeing horrible acts committed by humans,
and she's basically like experiencing this moment in her own head as it's going on in real life, and it's just being so close to the proximity of it is probably just overwhelming.
And she's grown to kind of care about the guy too.
Mm-hmm.
So
Sure.
Years of horror she's experiencing, right? And again, he's just kind of copping to killing the kid.
I put him in a barrel. I sunk him in the bay.
Oh God! He's saying he's trying to get his wish here. He's trying to get killed. And again, you get it. You absolutely get it. And you can't really blame him, but again, you feel bad because it's like I think deep down we all want not to. I think we all want our futures not to be fated. I think. And again, I think he's crying mainly because of his son here. I think on a kind of a deeper level, he's also kind of crying that he's trying to fight this the whole time, but he just can't. And
right.
Again, I think if the system were different, and I think it's kind of the idea we have kind of throughout the board of the movies that had they actually we're gonna keep it on lockdown for like when they said the murder was going to occur, so it won't happen. They're not really looking at it that way. They're not really looking at it like, hey, let's try to rehabilitate or prevent this from happening not by the exact moment, like the reason he's running is because he's going to be made into a vegetable.
I'm sorry, Dragon. I'm sorry. Once you pointed out Affleck, now I can't unsee it.
Right?
Like it's like Affleck is just like looming over them in the background. He's just like
wearing Vanilla Ice sunglasses.
Right. I can't unsee it now.
But this is really a really great moment where he kind of takes control here thanks to Agatha, and he doesn't take the shot. He doesn't kill him. It's the relief on his not the relief, but just like the pained moment where he's making a choice. And we last Better Call Saul episode we talked about choice like there was no tomorrow. So talking about choice again. No, but seriously, he's making the choice. He's claiming he's shaping his own future here by. I love how sheepishly he's like delivering the Miranda rights.
Mm-hmm.
If you feel for the guys, like poor John, poor Johnny boy. But yeah, it's like the reason he ran the first because he would have been turned into a vegetable, which obviously he does not want. He wants to clear his name, and unfortunately, it's the system where they're not really into like that's the horrible thing, into rehabilitating or like can I help you? It's right. It's all punishment. It's all kind of Judge Dredd level punishment.
And it's just like, and just the idea that it's just basically controlled by like one really, really weird guy, Gideon. You know what I mean? He's got like free reign over the file cabinets.
Oh yeah. And again, here's the big reveal that Leo, and we've had this device other places. I don't know if this is maybe like one of the first memorable places that I would presume in the story we might have had something simple. No, I forget if the kid was completely added or anything in the story, but regardless, the idea of like, to ensure your family is taken care of, you're willing to die. That sort of plot.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of being the big reveal, like he copped to it, so he get killed.
Right. Shyamalan is proud right now.
And of course, here we go. And again, not in the same manner, which again, it's the ripple effect here, where the same event happens differently. And also, it's a foreshadow for the ending in many ways.
Mm-hmm.
Because of course, we're in the same situation later on. Kind of a, and it visually the way it's directed, it's kind of Spielberg playing with kind of like the conceit of like we think something's going to happen. Basically, we think the gunshot's going to happen in a very specific way, but it's not. There's that danger when you get really close to the guy and the gun goes off. You don't know what's going to happen. You hope to God that gun's pointing the right way.
Right.
Then we have kind of another Spider-Man homage, I guess, where again, guy goes out the window, they assume the one guy's the murderer. Thankfully, no one saw.
Well, I mean, I just think that whole moment more speaks to like kind of like the paranoia and like the all eyes are on you at all times. It's like you just can't escape anything.
And we absolutely have to give credit to here. What word is that? He does. I love this orgy of evidence thing where he realizes, okay, something's not adding up here.
Oh,
Again, we're adding good layers to these guys here, where he's realizing, okay, something's obviously not right here.
mm-hmm.
And visually, we go to the culprit in a way here with this shot, but we don't. It's revealed in the scene.
Yeah, right. It's like if you're paying close attention, you might be able to pick up something. So yeah, as I said, I think all this stuff is sort of like kind of wheeling into the fourth act. Because like I said, I just feel like the different beats of the story kind of have just very defined beginning and ending points to them.
Because yeah, you're right. I'm saying if we allow for a fourth act, then I guess it would be just the reveal that it was a conspiracy. And now the conspiracy plots are we know it was conspiracy. We know like it was like not just Leo, it was something beyond Leo.
But this is sort of what I'm talking about, though. Like, I sort of wish that this film would have been a little bit more concise and wrap things up, just a little bit shorter than, having a whole other act of the movie. Because I feel like the high point of the whole film, not necessarily the high point, but sort of like, the point that the whole film was building to was that hotel confrontation.
Yeah, I mean, the film hinges on that scene. Because, again, it's a whole destiny.
So once that scene's over with, then it's like, I kind of feel like the film loses a lot of momentum. Am I crazy for thinking that? I think that's a pretty major flaw with the movie.
Well, basically, going from that scene, we're supposed to hit upon a really sweet, I don't mean sweet in terms of happy-go-lucky. We have to hit upon just the right ending. So we're going to descend, obviously, from the climax. We have to hit just the right spot there, which we take a long time to get there.
We do.
And that's kind of an issue. We're losing too much momentum in that time in between.
Yeah, and as I said, I think this movie could have. Go ahead, Jacob.
I just agreed with the whole momentum thing. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. I'm just getting sleepy.
I'm kind of there with you, buddy.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's all good.
So yes, big review.
But yeah, I kind of have to kind of agree. It does lose. I mean, it builds up steam, and then it does have some very minor pacing issues. But other than that, it's completely fine.
And I think there is good stuff in this last act of the movie. It's just, as I said, it just kind of drags.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, it's not that. It's not that it's bad. It's just it just feels like you're right. Just like we're kind of our attention's a little. Our interest is kind of waning a little bit,
Yeah, because like I said, I think maybe Spielberg did too good of a job of setting up that hotel confrontation. You know what I mean? Because now we as an audience, now that that's done, we're just sort of and I'm looking at the timestamp. I'm like, oh my God, it has a half hour left,
Yeah.
Granted, this movie does have a pretty substantial amount. This movie has 8 minutes worth of credits, so. But still, it's I don't know. As I said, I just think this isn't the best paced Spielberg movie. I'll say that much. But God damn it, it's kind of frustrating because everything up until this point, with the exception of maybe the weird plant stuff we got, it's everything except that one scene, I think was paced more or less perfectly. But then he just sort of stumbles at the end a little bit.
Yeah.
It's almost kind of like the reverse Close Encounters, where it's none of this stuff is bad per se. It's just whereas Close Encounters, it might have, there might have been a few moments here and there within Close Encounters where, it was a little slow, but once we got to that third act, it was just all amazing. And then here, it's just sort of the opposite. It's we get to the build-up, and then after the build-up, we're just sort of well, okay, let's just sort of wrap up the mystery.
You just killed Colin Farrell.
You bastard!
It'd be better if his name.
Him to death.
It'd be even better if his name was Kenny. You killed Kenny.
So
You
again,
killed Kenny
I do
Farrell.
like how I do like how Colin Farrell, like you said, Dragon, he is just a really, really effective red herring. Like you totally think that he set Anderton up like the whole movie. You know, you're totally on board for that.
Well, again, on the rewatch, that elevator scene still is a kind of a sticker with that. But yes, for the you think he's definitely a sleazy guy who could buy. Is like, okay, this guy's such a sleazeball. He's probably behind it.
Right, right.
And of course, we set someone up to trust through the Anderton family. So of course, Laura is definitely in some big trouble here. Where she, he goes to lay low at essentially the ex-wife's house, and then the worst person in the world who could know that knows this,
Yep.
and he's sending his minions. Bum, bum, bum. But yeah, here's the third point where we slow down. So again, the slow down point. Again, to be fair, the middle one was most plot relevant of these. So I mean, the middle one was.
I honestly don't even really consider the middle one a slowdown, just because it's so well executed for the most part.
Yeah, that's fair. Maybe it's just 2 points of slowdown. So the plants in this. Plants is mostly exposition. We do have this is where we really kind of slow down for the most part of the movie. Not in a bad way, because I think the scene when they're on the inside. Honestly, this is the part where I think it slows here, where they're just walking and kind of catching up a little.
Yeah, just a little bit.
I think it gets really good. We have an excellent classic Spielberg dialogue scene when they get inside of that. Oh my god, that scene's so moving. But once they go on the inside,
that scene is like kind of like the big saving grace of this whole third act, I think.
Exactly. Absolutely.
Or fourth act or whatever.
Well, which close to the end act.
However you want to
the letter act.
Yes.
Yeah.
The caboose. The act train.
Sure.
Chug. Yep. A lot of love in the room.
Yep.
No, literally, a lot of love in the room for her line later on. A lot of good childhood stuff they've saved up.
Mm-hmm.
So you're taking some time to slow down the commentary as well. You're just going to take in the scenery. It's kind of like really kind of.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's just like this is again. It's just sort of like I don't know. It's like Tom Cruise is basically going over stuff we already could kind of pick up on our own. I think. Does that make sense? Like this scene feels like it could have been a deleted scene.
I guess.
Maybe the only reason why it's here is just because we need some development with the ex-wife. I don't know.
Maybe. Well, we need her to be on his side, so probably yes.
Uh-huh.
But there's the money scene. Here we go. Here's here's some Spielberg sentimentality, and it's finest here. Oh my God, such a good scene. Where she again with the precognitive ability here. What she's doing, she's describing to them what at least a potential future their son would have had.
Mm-hmm.
If he wasn't kidnapped. And oh my God, it's so moving because it's not just the fact it's like saying all the good times he would have had, but she lays out his entire lifespan. And
yeah.
God, it's so darn moving. And seeing Cruz and Laura here, seeing John and Laura here, react to it. It's so darn moved. But again, like parents here, and again, that's what's so clever about this scene. It's just these. This is a scene you don't have every day, and putting it in this movie just kind of if we're stopping the action, we're just going to stop the action and really kind of remind us where the heart is for where it all went south for John here. It's like this, we're seeing what his pain is, that he knows this is a future that will never be. He knows this future that's lost to him. And he's just kind of basking in kind of the pleasantness of that thought. We're seeing, of course, the minute it's over, that's when all the pain kind of sweeps, kind of hits him again. That's kind of the tragedy of the character.
Right.
And I can just walking through the graduation, the meeting of his wife, married. Oh God, it's heartbreaking. It's him picturing what this would look like as she's describing. It's fantastic acting and direction.
Yeah, this is obviously, I think, probably the best just scene in the movie that's driven purely by dialogue.
Absolutely, in terms of just how it's shot here too. Of course, with this, with
the light is a big thing here.
And again, just that's where you get the benefit of like the bleach and the graininess and like the contrast. A lot of contrast in the movie. The contrast really comes into play here, where you have like again kind of our not God, our deity, like like kind of like the oracle-esque, the bringer of. Well, one, she's bringing hope in the scene, which would be light. She's bringing light, bringing hope, but also almost in a godlike, angel-like fashion, she's surrounded by light.
Aw.
And importantly, plot-wise, while she's talking about Sean, she's also relating it to herself. Basically, the parent-child relationship through her own view, basically revealing that her mother is Anne Lively.
Mm-hmm.
Essentially, and of course, it's going to be a huge, important driving factor. And Laura learns this, which she's definitely going to need to know in an upcoming scene, so she can kind of save the day.
Right.
Now, another way of looking at this scene, very importantly, is that a lot of people. First, we have the awesome run thing. Which, oh my God, her mouth opens so wide, just yelling "Run!" But a lot of people say, and this is the big theory with this movie. A lot of people are saying that when John, he gets, they put the little brain collar on. They call it the hat in the movie. When they put the hat on him.
No, they call it the halo.
The halo. Oh, crap. Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. It's earlier. I thought they said the hat, which was kind of weird, but it was kind of cool.
No, it's the halo, which is like 10 times cooler than a hat.
It does. It makes more. You're right. It makes more sense. The point is when they put the halo on. Again, the angelic thing, I guess. When they put the halo on. A lot of people think the movie ends there with him being put in stasis.
Yeah, I could see that. So basically, the rest of the movie just sort of plays out in his mind.
Exactly, because again, he has as Tim Blake Nelson's going to tell me, you're going to have visions. You're going to have you're going to have basically you're going to have visions. Your life's going to flash before your eyes, and it's like all your dreams will come true. Those are the three things he tells him. All of that would factor into kind of the stuff that unfolds, kind of the happy ending that John kind of gets in the end. I don't think it is. Oh yes. So what do you guys think? You think the movie ends there with him?
I really don't think so.
Here's the reason. Here's the evidence. People have also. I'm not the first to point this out, but I agree with it. That the reason it's not in his mind is because his son. He would have found his son because he knows his son isn't there, just missing. Well, he doesn't know his son. The point is, he just knows he's missing. So if it was like all his dreams come true, it would have been the son would have returned somehow. So because that doesn't happen, I'm on the board that says, yeah, it all really does happen. John's one lucky guy. It all happens. So the plan just goes accordingly.
Yeah, and I just think that'd be kind of a cheap gimmick to use. The whole like, oh, it was all a dream.
Now, to be fair,
Philip K. Dick was above using something like that, I think.
True, but to be fair, Philip K. Dick is known. He was the original guy who came up with the "It's all a dream." Though that was him. He's the one who came up with Total Recall. Whole like, did it happen? Did it not happen? That sort of stuff's all what
fair enough. Best. Fair enough. To be honest with you, like Max von Sydow in this movie just makes me wish he was in Star Wars in a role that actually meant something.
Oh yeah,
because he's just like such a classy actor. You know what I mean? It's like he's just so theatrical with what he does. Mm-hmm. Almost kind of reminds me of like an Ian McKellen or something like that.
Yeah, well, yeah, actually, Ian McKellen almost played him.
I could see that.
And it makes sense. He's going for that sort of role. Again, they kind of cast it with kind of a vision of the type in mind. I love this little bit here where he gets with the minute she says Anne Lively, it's he kind of pricks himself with the tie bar or something with the cufflink of the tie.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Again, it's just still like, I just feel like even though, like, with John and capacity and everything, the momentum is still just like, I just wish it would have wrapped up faster after the original hotel confrontation, or maybe have John being taken in at the hotel confrontation. I don't know. It's.
I agree with you to a point, Tiki, but at the same time,
I'm just like every time I watch this movie, I struggle to get invested past the hotel part.
Right.
Like, it's mostly just like a bunch of wrap-ups of like the twists and the plot, and I'm just like, I don't know.
Right.
Jacob?
Wake up!
I think I literally hear Jacob snoring.
I'm still awake.
Oh.
Sorry.
Am I crazy? Was I the only one that was hearing that
I
snoring?
thought it too. I thought it too.
I was like, I don't know, but as I said, folks, I apologize because I don't know. This is like, it's not the easiest movie to talk about, really, because it's very, as we said, it's very cerebral. You know what I mean? It's very much just sort of on a visual kind of like you take what you get out of it sort of thing. And
well, now things are starting to amp up here because all the tension in this scene now. That again, he knows that she knows something about him, and he's hoping that she's not going to figure everything out. And I love that he's in such a weak position right now where she could strangle him if she wanted to.
mm-hmm.
But again, she gets the confirmation, basically gets the evidence that she needs from like the confirmation that, okay, he is absolutely the guy. When he mentions drowning, when of course, she didn't say like, Anne Lively drowned. So now they know it's like a big tense thing.
Like, oh boy, like I know that she knows, and she knows that I know. Oh God.
There's that little move where he moves the chair and takes a step close right in her face like that, and then oh boy. Now, something that bugs me again, a little pet peeve, I guess, is that. Well, very minor, right? I guess is that she again? Why would she say that to him? Why can't she just we can see it on her face? So why would she tell him this? Now he's armed with information that, oh boy, I'm in trouble. And amazingly, he doesn't do something in the moment. That's kind of a problem with the scene I have. That again, he wouldn't leave a loose end like that, but at the same time, she. Why would she expose her hand like that? It's like that one's like the only kind of conventional thing we really do in the movie, I guess.
And I guess that kind of just speaks to why I fall out of this a little bit at the end, is that you're right, they do sort of have that, kind of the plot isn't as razor sharp as it was. I don't know.
This is kind of cool, though, when she has the gun on Tim Blake. I'll sit here and get it. I would like a word with my husband. Oh, my goodness. It's like such an action movie line, and then of course, like, how did you get clearance? And she goes with the icky, bloody eyeballs. See, that to me is a better eyeball reveal than look at the comedy shenanigans here. They're falling down the hallway. Right. Wah, wah. Oh, by the way, so before I forget about that guy, the attorney general, the guy who's like. Who kind of led him, like, hey, introducing Burgess. Introducing Burgess.
Yeah.
That guy is another Seinfeld actor. That's the one I was hinting at the beginning here. That is the doctor. That's, again, another Seinfeld actor for Spielberg.
Spielberg loves the Seinfeld actors.
So that's the doctor from Seinfeld who, he's the go-to doctor, but famously he's the doctor who told George that Susan died.
Oh, okay.
That's the guy. Good actor, though. He's in, yeah. Mm. Honestly, I got to tell you, that actor... he would be a pick for to voice an animated Kingpin. To be honest with you, I know that's
really random, but okay.
I know that's random. I'm saying like an animated series, they had an actor who sounds a little bit like.
I don't know, Dragon. I feel like you're pulling too many comic book references this podcast. I don't know.
There's a lot of Batman this one. I just threw in a couple Spider-Man because of the one guy.
Anyways, oh.
Well, it's better than just dead silence.
I know.
Then.
Dragon, trust me, I'm feeling really self-conscious about like not having a ton to say about this movie. It's just like, as I said, I just feel like this last part just kind of I feel like I'm repeating myself. I don't know. I'm a piece of shit. What can I say?
All right, well, now we have stuff happen. Now we're getting to the climax here. Well, not climax, wrong word. That was earlier on. But, we're getting to the ending. This is where things are actually heating up. We get kind of our plug and all this. First of all, I love that Jad is kind of the hero in the end here. Again, him sticking by John here when he's basically he's going to put, again, I love how he traps Burgess in the same position that John was in the beginning with the eye scanner. Basically, he's going to broadcast the Anne Lively murder, so everyone knows exactly what happened now that we have the missing information. Thanks to Agatha. Agatha also is kind of our co-hero in this regard, too.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really cool. And in a way, Burgess being cornered, in a way, it's like he's drowning in foresight. In a way.
I mean, I agree with you about everything you're saying, like about how Agatha and Jad being, being the heroes in the third act. Like, that's all really good, really well set up. As I said, I just wish it was cleaner. I just wish that, like, the fat would have been trimmed. I don't think this movie needed to be 2.5 hours long. I don't know. Again, it's just like a structure issue for me. It's just like... And I feel like I'm just really repeating myself with everything I'm saying. It's just I'm just not as engaged with this as I really should be. Because like I said, I think the first 2 hours of this movie play out like more or less on a flawless level, and then it's just, I don't know.
Well, here's some of the notes, so because it's going to factor in the next scene. Remember, there was actually a fun nod to what was in the original short story, because the general. The general had this plated gun. Had this. In the original book, the bad guy was the general. The guy, basically, was what if the guy who was trying to get himself killed was the actual. Essentially, was Burgess. Burgess was a general, and they have like a little throwaway thing here where he's opening the little gun award. Like a little. It was a general's revolver or something. They would give this to generals as like a show of respect, and that's like a little nod to, hey, it was a general in the book instead of Burgess. Yeah. Mm. Now this I do really like this mystery reveal here of like what it does seem like such a perfect plan here that basically made it look like an Echo where we kill he sent basically a fall guy. He sent the fall guy, the John Doe, who we had the eyes switched in the earlier scene. Like I love how it all comes together in the scene. That's so they would be an undetected murder. That's such a clever idea. And he's just exposed for what he is.
Yep. I'm sorry, guys. I'm a piece of shit. I really am. I'm sorry. I should have more to say about this. I'm getting really self-conscious here.
Yes.
God.
These are finally picking up again. Like, we finally get to see what's really going on here.
He looks really cool with that mask on.
Oh, yeah.
Has like the sunglasses built into the ski mask, and that explains that vision we got. I think we're seeing reverse, seeing it forward, and again, him just trapped. Like her. It's like it sounds a little weird, but again, he's drowning in foresight. The foresight that he had is now his undoing. He had him having the foresight of like, okay, I'm going to make it look like another guy did it, so I can kind of get away with this scot free. And again. I really say drowning foresight because it's like he had the foresight to kind of basically cement that because he killed that woman, he has Agatha, and of course because we have Agatha, we have the pre-crime unit. Without that doesn't happen. So again, he's trying in a way, while he is doing something evil in that scene, he's doing it for the right reasons. He's doing it for the greater good, which is twisted. And that's where he hit upon the big debate of the movie, I guess. The big moral question, I guess. Well, coming up after this great kind of like I'm jumping ahead a little bit. So we have this great.
And just also one of the reasons why I'm probably struggling to keep up with this is that I'm literally behind. Because, like I said, one of the things I don't like about watching videos on Amazon is this stupid X-ray feature where it's like if I click the video at the wrong spot, it just completely pauses the video, and then I have to like, oh no, get out of the X-ray now. So I've done that like 3 or 4 times, so I'm a little bit behind you guys. Now, I guess in terms of just like the execution of the scene, I wish it was a little less dialogue heavy because it does show a lot. You know what I mean? We do see a lot, but it also a little too much tell. There could have been a little bit more of a balance of the show and tell, I think.
Well, here's something. I really do love kind of visually we spice up this sequence because we do have a few things going here. So one, I like that we again kind of our vaguely Gordon-esque figure with Fletch. He's trying to figure out where he's trying to help prevent this murder from happening because he doesn't want John to get killed. And with the red ball reveal, basically a crime of passion is coming up, and basically he's going to murder him. And I love being armed with that information going because you're really sweating for the good guy here. Like, oh my God, he might get killed. and again, I love that throughout the scene we have the dialogue from the precogs kind of being intercut in the sequence. I think it's really well put together for kind of like the big intellectual discussion of the movie. And I love that he has him over a barrel here because either way, Burgess loses with this kind of this ultimatum here. Basically, if you don't kill me, if you don't shoot me pre-crime, goes away because you're wrong, and it means it's fallible, which means that goes away. You still get to go free, but you fail, you lose. You kill me. If she kills John, then pre-crime was right, but he's going to go away because he murdered someone.
Yeah, there's a really good ultimatum there.
I know. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, well, you're right. It does. We do kind of, aside from that really emotional kind of the son reflections.
And to tell you the truth, I also think Tom Cruise. I think Anderton's plan and figuring it all out kind of comes a little bit out of nowhere. Like, yeah, we get the name of the mother, right? But like, I kind of feel like it's a little bit too convenient that at that point he's able to just do all of this and like orchestrate the whole reveal and everything. I don't know.
Well, it's not really orchestrating them. He was just he's all he really orchestrated is that she was going to set him free, and then he's just going to call him. That's all he really needs to orchestrate. Hey, wife, please, get me, get me out of this server farm, and I'll call him on my phone.
Right.
Well, and there's her calling the other guy, her calling Jad to get all broadcast. But seriously, so two things I want to put up on. I know it's kind of already happening as it's being said here, but with Cruise being bald because he's put in the server farm, I like that now he's visually more and more similar to Agatha.
Yeah, absolutely.
And secondly, the thing that I really applaud this movie for. I'm sorry, Jake. Go on.
I was just agreeing with you.
And the thing I really applaud this movie for is that we see that Lamar deep down, again, he did have good intentions because he really is apologetic to John here in his last moments because we have like kind of the big ambiguous gunshot. Of course, reveal that he shot himself, and it was just his error was was morally in. Yeah, basically, he saw the error in his ways, the moral error in his ways, thanks to John. That's kind of his last moments, and he kind of realizes the mistake in what he's in, being put in the position like what John put him in. So he's just kind of saying,
right.
He apologized to him before he dies, and that's why he killed himself, just so he wouldn't. Either way, it's just like it's just the only movie he has. It was expressing some regret, just showing that again, even while he was the villain of the piece, all the things he did was to. Help the greater good. So again, I love how complex that morally this is. Now here's what I call the epilogue. Here is keep going all these different.
This is absolutely the epilogue. Yeah, the proper epilogue.
Oh yeah.
The idea that the prisoners are released. I love that I have a little line here mentioning that certain really dangerous ones have tabs being kept on them just to be safe.
Mm-hmm.
And this, to me, was really... This is the perfect note, I think, to end the movie on right here, because not only are our precogs free, but here's the thing. When we get to the outside, it's kind of our last shot, they're free. They don't have to tell the future anymore, but importantly, they're not living in the future. It's living in this very kind of rustic... Sure. Not even just the past, but just like present. They're living. They don't have to worry about looking to the future, being reminded of the future every which way, being surrounded by people. They're rustic and alone.
Which I feel like is a good kind of culmination of the whole idea of the plant life and the nature, and maybe justifies that earlier scene with the plant life a little bit. I don't know. That's still a little out of nowhere, but I do agree this is a great final shot. And like I said, this is like for all we know in the future, this could be like one of the last like little spots of undeveloped land in the whole country. You know what I mean?
Possibly.
Because I definitely think a lot of the thing is we see a lot of the how like I said with the features of like the visual motifs of like the apartment complex and houses all looking the same. That to me implies like there's been a lot of just like monotonous development of like like rapid development all over the place, like a lot of housing. Okay, and as we're pulling back from this great shot, guys, I just want to apologize right off top. This, I feel like I kind of stumbled a bit in my commentary. It's just, I don't know. I'm not in the, I'm not the most awake. I probably should have had some coffee before this, and the heat and everything. I mean, God, it's like almost 10 o'clock at night here at Pacific time, but I'm still just literally sweating. So I was not in the most active frame of mind for this. This commentary in general did turn out you know, especially on that third act. I feel like we got a lot of good stuff in the first two acts, but the third act, I really kind of fell apart with I got self-conscious, Dragon, and the thing with me is that when I get self-conscious and when I have anxiety, I also tend to go silent. So, yeah, I apologize for leaving you on the cold there, buddy. I'm really sorry about that. And, yeah, just waiting for it to roll to the proper credits so we can kind of get into our final thoughts here.
How long are the credits? Just to talk about it for a
oh
minute,
God, I mean, we don't.
it looks like roughly 5 to 6 minutes of credits.
Yeah, I have about 6 minutes left. I mean, we don't have to talk through the whole credits.
We could just read the credits here and there. So
No.
So there's Jessica Harper.
No, let's not do that.
Yeah, it's not like Airplane and the other Zucker movies where they have gag credits.
Oh, seriously,
right?
I wish we had gag credits nowadays. Oh, boys. So the closest we had to
okay,
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Rough Night, that Scarlett Johansson movie.
Yeah.
That tried to do gag credits, but it just failed.
Here's one that did gag credits really properly. Cringy. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 did gag credits properly.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, yeah,
not as hysterical as the Zucker Brothers, but still good.
Mm-hmm. All right, folks. So I think at this point we should probably just, even if we finish up a little before the credits, whatever, we'll just wrap up. Final thoughts.
Jacob?
Yeah, Jacob, you you seem like you're ready to check out, so go ahead.
No, okay, well, still, I do have to say this is still definitely one of the best Spielberg movies of the 2000s. I mean, probably of the 2000 decade, probably up there with Catch Me If You Can is his best one, and best one in that era. I mean, of the ones that I've seen, obviously, I haven't seen all of his movies from that time.
Mm.
I've seen some of them, and I would say that Catch Me If You Can and this one are definitely his best, and they're on completely different spectrums in terms of tone and everything.
Sure.
Catch Me If You Can is it's definitely dramatic, but it's a lot more like a lighthearted, fun chase movie. This one's like almost like you said, The Fugitive.
It's still kind of a chase movie. It's just much less lighthearted.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot darker and deals with more political and not necessarily political, but social and morality issues.
Mm-hmm. No, we didn't exactly have a scene where DiCaprio, like Frank Abagnale's going to such extreme lengths to with the highs and down. He's getting his eyes switched out.
Well, yeah, there's also that. But yeah, I love to say. I just said that's pretty much what I had to say. I mean, it's definitely one of my favorite Spielberg movies from that time period, and probably up there, and probably one of his best movies that he's ever made. Really, it was good to revisit.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I really do think this movie is flawed from a pacing level, and that's really the main. I actually think War of the Worlds, probably when I'm looking at it, like War of the Worlds has a critical plot hole at the end of the movie that I've always been sort of bitter about, but looking at it, like War of the Worlds has a better pace to it than this does. But at the same time, I feel like this is much more intellectual than War of the Worlds was, whereas War of the Worlds is sort of mostly just a visceral sci-fi action movie. This, of course, has a lot of, this is more of a think piece. So, yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, and this is, it's not my favorite Spielberg movie. I don't necessarily think it ranks with the best of the Spielberg movies, but I do think it's up there in like the good kind of like the B+ Spielberg material. You know what I mean? It's the B class. It's like the, I'd rank it up there with something like, with, I don't know, like, obviously it's not in the same league as something like Jaws or E.T., but it's good. It's good. And like I said, it's just it's got a really, really good sort of sense of world building to it, a really good kind of lived in future, a great cast of, a great kind of blend of, personalities. Like I said, the only real problem with it is that it just really takes way too long to wrap up. And I do think that is kind of a critical flaw with it. But yeah, other than that, there's a lot of solid stuff in here.
Kind of what I was going for, what I was trying to say.
Yeah. Well, I
Oh,
what can
Frank
I say? We
Grillo.
agree.
I just noticed Frank Grillo. Frank
Yes, he
Grillo's
was a
in it.
member of the team. Yes, I couldn't really point him out, so I guess I kind of. But yes, another Captain America reference to make all those. Honestly, a lot of Captain America characters now I'm thinking because we have Dum Dum Dugan, we have Crossbones, and we have a stunt
God.
coordinator from that. So yeah, a bunch
That's
you
kind
know.
of funny.
All right, Dragon, you got a minute and a half. Round us out.
All right, this is the DreamWorks era of Spielberg. Obviously, it's in that era. I think the big thing to take away with films, especially like Catch Me If You Can End This, is very inventive. But at the same time, it's always dicey adapting something, and I'm sure like diehard people of the book said they're going to take major deviations. But I think he's given the like kind of critical reception. I think people were kind of okay with it. They realized it wasn't something directly directly kind of taken from the book. It's inspired because it's a short story. All Philip K. Dick stuff has to be has to be added upon because they're short stories. You have to pad them a little bit more. Maybe this over padded a little bit in places, obviously, but here's what I'm coming down on. It's not my favorite Spielberg film, but it's not my favorite Spielberg film. But and it's honestly aside from the gross out stuff, and the decline in Act 3, it's again the long Act 3. It's solid. I will say this. I want to make it clear. I like this movie. It's solid, but I think it boils down to this. It should be it's one of those Spielberg movies you have to be in the mood for. It's like one of the ones I wouldn't like say you like watch it on a loop or like watch it like frequently. I'm saying once you're in a mood like it's been a while, I'm gonna watch it.
So definitely not like a Jurassic Park or an E.T.
Exactly, or a Jaws. Like it's something you gotta be in a mood for. It's not like kind of one like it's not Raiders by any stretch.
Sure, exactly.
But again, it's a good time. Just you should
I don't think it's the thing is though. I don't think it's obviously not trying to be as crowd pleasing as those movies.
Well, yeah, I'm just saying like in terms of like kind of rewatchability. I'm not saying in terms of like quality or like what the intention is.
Of course, right.
But yeah, overall, again, just it's a solid film by Spielberg in this DreamWorks kind of phase that we're kind of covering in Spielberg's career right here.
Mm-hmm. All right, folks. Well, that will about do it. The commentary, we just ended the conversation right as the movie ended. So that's pretty good timing there. Thanks so much for joining us. I definitely think I'll have more to say about the next movie coming up, which is last year's The BFG, which is oddly enough the very first time Spielberg worked with Disney. Folks, I from the bottom of my heart, I think The BFG is a great movie, and I think it was really, really, really overlooked last year, mostly due to a poor marketing campaign. Are there flaws with it? Yeah, absolutely. There are definitely flaws with it. I think the effects on the BFG are a little bit mixed, where there's a lot of good scale, there's a lot of good effects on, a lot of good motion capture. I think the big issue with the BFG comes to do with the antagonists of the BFG, but we'll get into that. But I am very much looking forward to revisiting that film and, and just kind of talking its praises, because I think that's one that just sort of slipped under the radar and it has a ton of Spielberg magic in it, man. It has a ton of moments and scenes and set pieces that really, really speak to me. I actually think the BFG is probably the closest thing that Spielberg's made to something like an E.T., you know what I mean? Just in terms of the themes of the story, and B, just kind of the childhood whimsy behind it. So we'll be getting into that. And until next time, folks, see you again for another installment of Spielberg Months. Da 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 da